and Valvoline.
If the pole winner does not win the race, an additional 15 seconds.
Good evening. You join us live from downtown Miami for the opening round of this year's IndyCar Series, the race we've been waiting all winter for. Rob Widow is with you this season. Ben Edwards moving up, of course, to Formula One to join John Watson in Brazil in 3 weeks' time. Well, after a 5-month winter break, the series is wide open. Mansell and Mario have gone to be replaced at Newman Haas by Paul Tracy and Michael Andretti. New arrivals on the scene include Gilles de Ferran from Formula 3000 and Christian Fittipaldi from Formula One. And for the first time in 20 years, there could be something of a tyre war in IndyCar, with Firestone challenging Goodyear. On the chassis front, Reynard now outnumbers the rest with 13 cars, the new 951 from Bista proving a popular choice. Newman Haas stay with Lola, while Penske runs a 2-car team this year for Al Unser and Emerson Fittipaldi. Engine choice has seen a big move towards Mercedes, no less than 5 teams opting for Mario Illian's new engine. Main opposition will come from Ford, although Honda switched to the Tasman team, which runs a Reynard for Andre Ribeiro. So, new teams, new drivers, and Scott Pruitt on the Firestone tyres. This could be a great season, and Miami is a brand new track for IndyCars. 1995 will be full of surprises, and this race round the streets of Miami will certainly be full of yellow flags, if IndyCar street races in the past are anything to go by. If you don't know about this morning's warm-up, I can tell you that Michael Andretti, who is on pole position, was also quickest in the warm-up. But second quickest in the warm-up was Robbie Gordon, who only qualified 14th yesterday. So interesting quicker time there by Robbie Gordon in this morning's warm-up. Third quickest this morning, Bobby Rahal, then Christian Fittipaldi, Theo Fabi, Paul Tracy, Raul Boesel, Jacques Villeneuve, Jimmy Vasser, Brian Herter, and Stefan Johansson. Where, you ask, are those Penskes? Well, they're in trouble. We hear from America that they have traction trouble, and in the warm-up this morning, Al Unser was 17th quickest and Emerson Fittipaldi 18th quickest. They are also well down the grid. So, front row, Andretti and Gugelmin. Row 2, Boesel and Gilles de Ferran. Third row, Tracy and Sullivan.
In row 3, that's de Ferran. There's Paul Tracy inside of row 3. The red and white Newman Haas car is distinctly different from his teammates. And Danny Sullivan will start outside row 3, the number 17 car, returning after a year's layoff from the Indy cars. In the fourth row, that 15 car is Christian Fittipaldi, Emerson's nephew, making his IndyCar debut. And Jacques Villeneuve, the number 27 that so identified with his father, now adorns his car. In row 5, Al Unser Jr., carrying the number 1 of the defending IndyCar champions. And Scott Pruitt returns to IndyCars after sending last year developing the new Firestone tire. In row 6 on the inside is Bobby Rahal. Familiar colors, the 3-time series champions, though is this year using the Mercedes power plant. The outside of row number 6 is Jimmy Vasser. The yellow rollover bar will help you identify this car and separate it from his teammate Brian Herta. In row 7, number 16 is Stefan Johansson. Robbie Gordon is in car number 5. The major change here is from a Lola chassis to a Renard for 95. In row 8, Andre Ribeiro, a new team, a new driver to IndyCar, and the only Honda engine in the field. That brightly colored car, nice bright yellow front. And Emerson Fittipaldi, the team, the sponsor, and even the number remain the same as in 94. Row 9, Adrian Fernandez and Theo Fabi. The 10th row, Alessandro Zampedri and Brian Herta. In row 11, Christian Danner and Eddie Cheever. Row 12, Eliseo Salazar and Eric Bachelard. 13 is Hiro Matsushita and Dean Hall, and alone in the 14th and final row is Dennis Vitolo. This track here is 1.829 miles around as they gather up behind the PPG pace car and are very close to starting this season. There it is. Keep a close eye on turn 2 and turn 12. We've seen a lot of action there this weekend. Notice, too, that the pits here are curved. Now they begin to slow the field down and bunch it up as they head into the final corner. Pace car is off onto the pit road. Front row nicely aligned. As Michael Andretti takes the green flag, jumps into the lead. Gugelmin to second. Wassell comes up on the inside. DeFer into the outside.
Perfect start. Now they head down the very fastest part of the track.
All safely through the first turn. Now on to Biscayne Boulevard. Up toward 185 miles an hour. On board with Rahal. That's Scott Pruitt just ahead as he smokes the tires under braking.
This is the danger part right there at the chicane. We got to watch it all day. Braking is what's going to be the answer there. Nobody can give it up. That's where you see the tires smoke a little bit.
Michael Andretti, car number 6, begins to pull away.
He's been absent from the Newman Haas team for 2 years. Now he's back and he resumes just where he left off in the lead.
That second place car is Mauricio Gugelmin. The yellow car is Guy Ferran. And that's Paul Tracy. Sitting back, he's managed to get around Raul Boisel. You now ride with Paul Tracy.
Now he's also the teammate to Michael. That's both the Carl Haas teams, and their cars are identical. The paint jobs are a little bit different, Paul.
What Tracy has to avoid is an accident. He's accident prone and he needs to get off to a good start this year with no crashes.
Michael Andretti leads the first lap. Remember, he did that a year ago at Australia. Went on to win the race, taking the first lap honors away from Nigel Mansell, the pole sitter.
Now, a lot of these guys, like I said in the opening, have had problems during practice. There it goes through the chicane again. And a lot of them are being careful now. You see they're getting spread out. Look at it right here, how far the cars are.
Whoa, car into the wall. Car brushed the barrier back there. Looks like it might have been the car running in. It's Paul Tracy. Car was running in 4th place.
I guess I spoke too early on that one.
Paul Tracy had 3 accidents in practice. He had to get his season started with the new team, proving that he could get through races without crashing. This is a terrible beginning for Paul Tracy.
So for the moment, the local yellow flag only affecting that section of the race course, as young Paul in his first race for his new team is out quite quickly. So Paul Tracy walks away. The field continues to race on the rest of the circuit, and now full course caution comes out. So they'll put out the pace car and slow the field while they get Paul Tracy's wrecked car off of the edge of the race course. We're under our first caution of the season here in Miami.
We don't know exactly what it was.
So Paul Tracy, season, the 95
start to the season for Paul Tracy. That really is unbelievable. The guy had 3 shunts on in practice on Friday and Saturday, and now just a few laps into the race, he's into the wall and out of the race, and we're going to see it again now. He loses it under braking, I think. No, he doesn't. He clips the inside of the chicane there. In the middle of the chicane, he just clipped the tire wall, hit the wall on the outside, and the front suspension is a horrible mess. Meanwhile, Michael Andretti is away out in the lead. We only have a local yellow flag at the place where Tracy went off at that chicane there. Mauricio Gugelmin in 2nd place, and a tremendous drive by Gilles de Ferran in the Reynard in 3rd. So already, just less than 10 minutes into the Miami Grand Prix, the opening race of the season, Paul Tracy is out. He obviously got a bit of red mist on. He didn't like being in 4th place. He didn't like being behind Gilles de Ferran, and he got it all wrong. Hit the tires on the inside, whacked them on the outside, and that was the end of the Newman Haas Lola. The other team car, though, of course, driven by Michael Andretti, still out in the lead. Mauricio Gugelmin 2nd, and as you can see, it's pretty well perfect conditions for racing here in Miami. It's hot, it's dry, but the track is a little bumpy. There's 3 different surfaces, and oh dear, that is the Penske pit, and well, you can see from the expressions on their faces, they look absolutely dumbstruck, in fact. They just cannot believe that Paul Tracy is already out of the race. This is Adrian Fernandez, the Mexican. We're riding with him. Qualified well. showed very well towards the end of last season. So still riding now with the Mexican Fernandez, who, as I said, built up well last season, and a lot of people expect good things from him later this year. This looks like the lead car of Michael Andretti, running slowly now, of course, but don't forget the yellow flags are out after that incident with Paul Tracy, but Andretti still leads. No overtaking, as most of you will know, under the yellow flags, allows the field to bunch up, and of course this is what makes IndyCar racing so exciting. Real devotees of Formula One say it's not real racing because it's only when the flags come out they close up. Never mind, those are the rules, and it does make for terrific battles. Look at this, the field really bunched up now. The yellow's out all over the place. But we touched just a moment ago on the different surfaces here on this street circuit at Miami. Never been run for IndyCars before. It's been used for sports car races. In fact, Raul Boesel won a sports car race here. I think we're going to see the Tracy incident again now. That's the yellow car up ahead. That's Gilles de Ferran in the Reynard, run by Jim Hall. A rookie season, yes, and Tracy trying to close right up to de Ferran under braking, and I must say he must have left his braking far too late. From what we can see from the onboard camera, he thumped the wall pretty hard, and that car isn't going anywhere again today. And we see it, it's a better shot actually from the overhead shot. The car is out of control by then, and unaccountably I think he must have maybe locked to left front. We can't see from that angle, but he appeared to just drive straight onto the inside wall of that chicane, glanced off it, thumped the outside wall, and now he's out of control. He's a passenger now into the inside wall again, and that is the end of the race for Newman Haas's driver Paul Tracy. So Newman Haas down to one car and only 10 minutes gone of the first race of the year. Coming back to this surface, it's asphalt and it's concrete, and where the surface changes, a lot of drivers have had trouble with traction. It's dusty, it's bumpy, and crossing from asphalt to concrete and back to asphalt has caused one or two problems, but not, obviously, for the Lola Ford of Michael Andretti. In fact, it seems to be the all-conquering, at least all-conquering from 1994, all-conquering Penskes who've had the problems. 17th and 18th in the warm-up, and way back on the grid. So, still under yellow flags here at Miami, and I said earlier on that this race has a maximum of 2 hours to run, and if it continues like this, they're not going to do 90 laps in that time, I wouldn't think, because for sure that is not going to be the last incident we're going to see here. It's a twisty circuit. There's really only one decent straight, Biscayne Boulevard. It's a bit like Long Beach, this actually. Those of you who've been to Formula One at Long Beach, a lot of similarities between Long Beach and this Miami street circuit. A decent straight along Biscayne Boulevard, but the rest of it is pretty tight, pretty twisty. I would say 2, maybe 3 overtaking points. Paul Tracy's wasn't one of them, by the look of it. But down at the end of the long straight, where it's after it's curved right, that's a possible overtaking point. Down into turn 5, 13 corners in all. Riding with Robbie Gordon for a moment there. Robbie Gordon, very, very forceful driver. So, Andretti leading from Maurizio Gugelmin and Gilles de Ferran, and we're going back to our American commentators, Derek Daly and Paul Page.
Of him to start a season in the hole. He started with a 16th last year, and big trouble.
You guys are both former drivers. What does that do to the psyche? Here's a guy that has already had a number of crashes, not only this season, but before. What is that going to do to him?
Well, that's bad, and the reason is he just left he was with Penske last year. He wrecked a lot of cars for Roger Penske. There's talk that that's the reason he got released.
Let's go pit side and Gary Gerald.
Paul, keep an eye on the defending series champion, Al Unser Jr. He started back here at near mid-pack. They've reported a possible electrical problem. They thought about bringing him in. Roger Penske just made the decision no. He told him to stay on the track. So Junior's out there. We don't know if they've got gremlins. It's been a frustrating weekend for this team in a bid to open up a chance to defend that championship title.
Well, the pace begins to pick up as they come single file behind the PPG pace car. Michael Andretti leading them around, and we should head back toward a green flag just 2 turns from now. Great view back from Michael's car.
The car right behind Michael, the multicolored car, Mauricio Gugelmin, a former Formula One driver who's really finding his way now in IndyCar ranks.
Gugelmin had trouble with his engine in the morning warm-up, barely got out at all. But obviously, whatever that problem was, they got it fixed. But look at DeFerrin right behind him, beginning to close in, battle developing for second place.
Yeah, the yellow Pennzoil car. We haven't seen that car run this good in a long time. And Fabi, who has been with the Pennzoil car for a long time, is in a different car. And who's winning the battle? Dee Ferreira is. The first time he's been in IndyCar racing.
In the back of the field, number of cars now beginning to string past Eric Bachelard, the 19 car back there.
Including Ray Hall, who's running back in 10th in that black and yellow car. Here we see the multicolored car of Christian Fittipaldi, third in line here. New to this kind of racing, but not new to racing. He's Emerson's nephew. He's had some top finishes in Formula One. I think he's going to make a very big impression on IndyCar.
Christian Fittipaldi currently running in 5th place. So strange with a name like Fittipaldi to see the 3 stripes of a rookie on the back of the car, but of course he is here in IndyCar. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Paul Tracy has walked his way back to the entrance of pit road. What happened, Paul?
It's just disgusted, really. You know, I've had brake troubles all weekend, and just the rear tires locked up, and I couldn't stop. And it was either, you know, go through the tried to cut it through the turn, but just hit the wall. So it's just a bad start to another year, I guess. So
seems like this cloud has been over your head for the last couple of years. How are you going to shake it?
I don't know. Just try to have a good race and have a good race for the Budweiser guys in Kmart in Australia, and you know, we'll move on to the next one.
Good luck, Paul.
And look at the Pennzoil car, the number 8 car. That's DeFerrin as somebody lights up the brakes big time coming into the corner. He's been falling steadily backwards after a great start and running up to 3rd place.
Anytime we see a lot of cars going into the chicane together like this, or excuse me, all apart, clear across the track, you're going to see a lot of brakes lighting up, a lot of smoke out of the tires, because it's only single file through there. You cannot get 2 cars through there together.
Well, it's obvious DeFerrin will be heading for the pits at the conclusion of this lap.
He's a powertrain problem. He's obviously got something wrong with his engine, Paul, because he's really lost his speed, but everything is still together. It looks like he's probably handling good.
Let's go to Gerald, Gary Gerald.
In the DeFerrin pit, we understand from the crew that it's most likely a gearbox problem. That's why he's limping along. So it relates to the powertrain, as Bobby suspected. Gearbox problems early on this first street course.
See, Bobby, you're not so old. You were right.
He was.
So at the front of the field, it's Michael Andretti being chased by Mauricio Gugelmin. You ride with Brian Herta, who sits down in the field right now in 17th position. Michael is our leader. 8 laps are complete.
Qualifying 4th, but
So we see early on demises. We know Alessandro Zampetti.
So there are the standings. Michael Andretti still leading from Maurizio Gugelmin, Teo Fabi, and a marvellous drive by Christian Fittipaldi. But oh, what a tragedy for Gilles de Ferran. Reynard and Jim Hall really will be disappointed with that. As you heard, it may well be gearbox trouble. It certainly looked something like that. Couldn't see a puncture, couldn't see any damage. But poor old Gilles de Ferran dropping right back down the field as we ride now with the leader, Michael Andretti, and he's got a good, solid lead. A lot of tremendous fighting behind him, but Andretti and Gugelmin out now in the front of the race. Both, of course, Formula One experience. Michael Andretti not so successfully with McLaren, and Gugelmin several years in Formula One. So an American leads a Brazilian, followed by Teo Fabi. Whoa! And That's about as close as you want to get to the barrier, but that's what it's all about. Street racing, absolute accuracy and quite a lot of bravery. So it's Andretti from Gugelmin, then Danny Sullivan. Third place, Danny Sullivan, followed by Christian Fittipaldi. Jacques Villeneuve, who's really been moving up through the field. Tremendous drive by Villeneuve. It could be his year. A lot of people are saying that they've been calling him a champion to be. Well, this is the year he's got to do it. And rounding out the top 6 is another Brazilian, Raul Boesel. And Boesel needs a good year this year. He was with Dick Simon last year. And in a fairly controversial move, he left Dick Simon's team, but he took his sponsorship with him. And there's Christian Fittipaldi in the familiar yellow helmet. And Christian driving a very, very good race for this, his first ever IndyCar outing. There goes Villeneuve. And as you can see, quite a lot of these corners are fairly quick, and overtaking points are limited. But watch out for Jacques Villeneuve. No sign yet of Robbie Gordon. I would expect Robbie Gordon to fight his way up. Whoa, dear. Locking brakes, clouds of blue smoke there. Villeneuve really putting the pressure on. And I should think we would see both Villeneuve and Christian Fittipaldi moving up a place before many more laps. So everybody come through the winter. They're rearing to go, raring to race. Meanwhile, though, Michael Andretti leads serenely, followed by Maurizio Gugelmin. There goes Fittipaldi again. It'd be very, very interesting to watch Christian this year. He made a bold move, in my opinion, to get out of Formula One. He wasn't getting anywhere in Formula One, to come to IndyCar. So,
with
apart
this new
from
team
Paul
called
Tracy,
Pac West, he's come back and made the most of it.
an instant free race so far, apart from Tracy.
Then Christian Fittipaldi, Jacques Villeneuve, Raul Boesel, Al Unser Jr. up to 7th finally. Then Scott Pruitt, Bobby Rahal, and Robbie Gordon rounds out the top 10. Oh, and we've got a car to the wall, and this is Brian Herta.
Herta has not had a good weekend. He had a crash on Friday after he had problems with his engine in the first session, and now, of course, he's put it in the wall again. The significant thing here, of course, Brian has very little experience, really, in Indy cars. He drove for A.J. Foyt last year up until his big accident in Toronto, where he was hurt. This is his first race after that. It's only his 6th start in IndyCar.
That's a turn where there's been an awful lot of problems, Sam, through the practice and through qualifications. That's turn 12. We've had 4 wrecks there, and probably all the others total together.
That's where Tracy had 4
tires,
wrecks.
yes, that's Tracy had 4 there, and the tires really saved Brian Herta. And you can see he's running without any problems. The tires really absorb the shock of the cars tremendously.
In fact, Paul Tracy told me during practice that a lot of sand tends to get up on that turn 12 position. Let's go pit side, Gary.
Jim Hall is here and is working with his crew. Can you tell us about this problem hopping out of gear, Jim?
Yeah, I can't tell you why. We know that it's got some kind of a gear selection problem. We're trying to figure out what it is right now. It's kind of disappointing for us, but anyway, that's the problem, isn't it?
They've had a terrific weekend right up until these opening laps. It's a shame.
Well, you can see that despite his misfortune, Brian Herta was able to get back into the action, though now he runs 22nd.
Just to tell everybody about the transmissions just a little bit, they're all sequential shift transmissions. They only, like if they're in first, they just keep pulling it back 1 notch, go to second, next notch is third, next notch is fourth, and on up to 6th speed. So when they downshift, they have to go through each one. Or to the motorcycle racers, it's just like, or motorcycle riders, it's like a motorcycle transmission.
Now, this is the situation that got Herta in trouble and dropped him down through the field.
Now you can see him coming out of the right-hand turn. He'll be going in to turn 12. Watch here. This is where they all have the problem. There he is. What happens is he brakes, his rear starts locking up, it just starts pushing, and the only way you can go is right into the tires. A lot of the guys have had problems there, and honestly, we can't figure out why.
And I think I said that he was into the tire barrier or the wall. Looks like he didn't really touch it at all.
Here's Al Unser Jr. in the pit lane. Whether this is an early pit stop or trouble, who knows? He's been running 7th.
Way too early, unless they've got a strategy nobody's seen before.
Now he's coming in too slow. Everything, he's got problems. There comes the hood off right now.
This is the defending champion, And of course, you know that number 1, the number worn by the defending champion, has been an unlucky number historically through the years. In the last 23 years, the car that started the season with number 1 on it has only managed to be champion twice.
Let's go pit side, Gary.
Well, it is that electrical gremlin that they had a report on earlier, and they've got all the wiring harness out on the left side, the right side of the cockpit, replacing some of the electronics. They're hoping that that will cure it, but boy, tremendous disappointment for the man who dominated so much of '94 with his 8 wins, Paul.
Well, Gary, we've seen a number of electrical problems throughout the practice and qualification. Is heat maybe a factor?
I have not heard anybody express that exact concern, Paul. I don't think it's that abnormally hot, and of course they anticipated it would be close to 80 degrees today. So we don't believe that's to be the case, but then again with electronics, who knows for sure.
Exactly.
I think what we're going to find on that, Paul, is heat is not given a problem. It may be hurting a few things, but it's the first race of the season, and it's the first time the cars have ever been pushed really hard under race conditions for anybody here.
A spectator this year, Mario Andretti, also the Grand Marshal at this event, watching his son start from the pole and lead the race. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Possible that Gugelman and something.
Eurosport Live.
So, as you join us again live here at Miami, it is Michael Andretti leading in the Lola Ford, watched from the pits by his father Mario. Second place, Maurizio Gugelmin in the Reynard Ford, and then Danny Sullivan in another Reynard Ford. And in fourth place, it's Christian Fittipaldi. There he is, chased by Jacques Villeneuve. A tremendous battle this in another Reynard Ford. So Ford engines in the first 4 places, and chasing up hard behind them are Jacques Villeneuve, Jimmy Vasser, and Scott Pruitt. And don't forget, Scott Pruitt is running on the Firestone tyres. It'll be interesting to see how he goes doing the rest of this race. It's hot out there, it's dusty, it's bumpy, and as we've seen, people are sliding under braking. Brian Herter nearly put himself out of the race, but he only just touched the tyres, reversed out, and he's on his way again. Gilles de Ferran has been into the pits with gearbox problem after holding down 3rd position early in the race. So that's the story so far from Miami, with just about half an hour gone. And if you watch these cars closely, there's Danny Sullivan. You can see just how bumpy this circuit is, and anything can happen in the opening round of the series, especially on a street circuit. Remember last year at Surfers Paradise when Andretti won in the Reynard? Well, we've seen nothing of the Penske's, absolutely nothing, except for little Al Unser in the pits. And there we see them getting ready again. But so far, a major disappointment for the Penske's, and we go over now to Derek Daly and Paul Page.
For a lap, maybe 2.
Back live at Miami. Boy, talk about a team that has come of age. Those 2 cars are the Pac West team. They run 2nd and 3rd. The 18 car of Gugelmin, followed by Danny Sullivan in the 17 car. They're definitely the group to watch this year. They run 2nd and 3rd behind Michael right now.
They had such a terrible year last year too, Paul. You know, and look at them. They're both real pretty red, white, and blue cars. They've got to really be a happy team.
And they're going to give a black flag to Al Unser Jr. He broke the pit speed limit when he came in, hit 88 miles an hour. They only allow 85 here. Gary Gerald?
Paul, he just served the black flag penalty with a stop and go. It was an alternator control box that was fluctuating, and so they made the change. They elected to bring him in and make the change rather than risk having the car die on course and then be stranded for the rest of the afternoon. Also, Emerson Fittipaldi, Unser's teammate, has no radio contact with his pit.
Behind the first 3 cars, here comes Al Unser Jr. after making his stop, and here is the fight on the circuit. At 15 cars, Christian Fittipaldi, and chasing him is Jacques Villeneuve. It's a battle for 4th place.
Gary, you mentioned Emerson's problems with the radio. He's way back in 13th position. A very bleak day for the Penske team. Al, of course, started badly last year in Surfers Paradise and came on speedily and won the championship. But the feeling this year is things are going to be different for Penske. A much tougher year ahead for them.
Well, you know, Sam, they've been testing all winter, and of course the rumor mills get wild, but they say that they've had problems with the car. Now the car's not changed much from last year, the Penske car. Minor changes to it from what we read and hear about. But for some reason, they've lost what they had last year. Now knowing Roger Penske, they won't do this much longer. He'll just change the last year's setup and go with that.
So Christian Fittipaldi and Jack Villeneuve continue their battle. Right behind them is Boycel, then Scott Pruitt, then Ray Hall. As we look further back in the field, here comes Bobby Ray Hall. Honda power last year, Mercedes power this year. We're just going to climb on board. Bobby and Sam, relax. We're going to enjoy this. And Christian Fittipaldi comes suddenly off of that fight and very quickly into the pits. This is on lap 19. They had indicated that the earliest window might be as early. Oh, look at that. Over one of the tires. Problem with the new team, Bobby?
Yes, absolutely problem with the new team. New team, new driver. Takes a while to sort things out. First race is always looks like a circus.
No obvious damage to the car. Shouldn't be a problem with it as Christian Fittipaldi comes out.
No, but in the driver's mind, now watching as it happens again, there are some under-body aerodynamic pieces there that could have been damaged that we can't see yet. And the driver always has to wonder, did I hurt the suspension? Can I trust the car after this? Car looks good, though.
There's really no damage to that, Sam. Well, they'll take a lot more than that. The problem is that could have really been bad. I mean, the pit guys are the guys, the tire changes that made the mistake because they had the front tire tucked right into the rear there.
Coming back up on Bobby Ray Hall, who is closing in on Raul Boycel.
Boycel, of course, is now Ray Hall's teammate. Boycel drove last year for Simon, did a really good job, and then jumped ship, taking his sponsor, Duracell, the battery company, and now he's with Ray Hall. So Boycel is leading his boss.
They're going to show a black flag to Christian Fittipaldi for running over that tire. I don't think he ever saw it, but nevertheless, it was still there. Jack Arute?
Well, Paul, you've got the stop and go. The reason why he had to come in is he had a tire going down. They were going to try and stretch the Fittipaldi side of things. They were going to try and stretch their pit stop to the next yellow flag. So unexpectedly, he found himself on pit road, and as Bobby Unser and you both said, a new team, and they kind of tripped over each other.
That kind of startled him, I think, to see him in that fast. Bobby Ray Hall now right up behind sixth place Raul Boycel. Bobby Gordon just behind him there.
Jack, that incident dropped Fittipaldi from 4th back to 12th now.
Well, you know, Sam, that isn't quite so bad. He made his pit stop. He does have fuel. What's going to really hurt him is another stop, a stop and go under the green. That's really going to hurt him. That's like double jeopardy. Now, it'll really be bad if all the other guys happen to get a yellow for their pit stops.
Now, Boycel out-qualified Ray Hall by several places. Obviously, Ray Hall's setup in the race is better. Here's Eddie Cheever into the tire barriers in A.J. Foyt's car.
Now you can notice he's going,
Bobby.
Yeah, turn 12, and you notice he's going backwards. Now he didn't hit anything hard from what it looks like. Looks like he's just barely there. You can even see the slide marks on his front tire there. The problem is they all seem to have problems here, and even now. I'll bet the drivers can't tell you why. It just happens.
There is a little ripple-y quality to the pavement as you come in.
What happens there, and I noticed this now, during the practice session, I stayed out there in that turn to see what the cars were doing, and that's exactly what happened to this one. Eddie Cheever, they go into the turn a little bit wide, the rear tires lock up, it changes direction just like his did.
And Eddie managed to stall the car. That's the problem.
Yellow flag only in that area of the course. Michael Andretti, the leader of the race, now by 10 seconds over Mauricio Gugelmin and Danny Sullivan, the Pac West teammate. Beautiful blue skies overhead, temperatures in the 80s. DeFerrin is back into the pits, and so is Al Unser Jr. with 21 laps complete. Michael Andretti so far is having a great day.
Eurosport Live.
So just 24 laps gone, and we have another major problem. One of those cars is Adrian Fernandez, the Mexican, that's for sure, and they've had a major tangle. The yellows are out yet again. We've had yellow flags for Eddie Cheever as he slid very gently and elegantly into the tire barrier and installed the engine, but now we have something a bit more serious. I certainly don't think Fernandez is going to get out of that one, and that's going to be a tow truck job, no question. 25 laps in then, and Mario, it's his son Michael Andretti, 10 seconds in the lead, and driving a perfect race so far. That looks like Andre Ribeiro to me. I think that is Andre Ribeiro who tangles with Adrian Fernandez. It is, and that's a shame because that's the Honda-powered car, the Reynard Honda. Well, they just got a bit overexcited, those two. And Adrian Fernandez, I think, really tried to go through a gap that wasn't there. I'm sure that'll be Ribeiro's opinion anyway. It's always difficult to tell if you're not standing right there, but from the way we saw it, I would have thought Fernandez saw a gap, thought, I'm going for this, and hello, here we have the leader coming out. Oh, whoa, crowded pit lane. That's it, Michael avoids everybody. And he's really got his head together today, Michael Andretti. He had a 10-second lead before he went into the pits. Behind him, by the way, in the Reynard, Gugelmin, then Sullivan. Their teammates, those two, Gugelmin and Sullivan, in the Reynards, the Pac West Reynards. Then comes Raul Boesel, then Bobby Rahal, teammates together again. And this is not a good day for Penske. Dear oh me. Poor Emerson Fittipaldi in the pits. Apparently his radio has packed up already, so he has no communication with the guys in the pits. And this is Fernandez, I think. He's got going again. I shouldn't think the car's in prime condition after that tangle with Andre Ribeiro, but he has got going again, and he'll be heading straight back to the pits. You can see that he's scuffed the tyres very... That's Eddie Cheever. I think somebody's blown up. I'm not sure if that was... it's Cheever who's blown. Yep, the AJ Foyt car isn't going any further today. Here's Brian Herter, who had a slight off earlier on in pit lane. And Christian Fittipaldi had a problem in pit lane too. Pretty normal stuff for round one of the season, really. The Walker crew, just a slight lash up. They left the used tyres in the path of Christian as he left. But everybody settles down as the race goes on, and as the season continues, we'll see much slicker work in the pit lane. But excitement all the way, as we've come to expect from IndyCar racing. 40 minutes now into the race. There's Eddie Cheever, and they're working on Emerson Fittipaldi's car. It looks like a fairly serious problem. This is going to put Emerson way back in the race. I thought he was out of the cockpit there for a moment, but he's still sitting there. In fact, putting the bodywork back on. And I think this is not going to be a weekend to remember for Roger Penske's team. Al Unser still out there, but really, it has to be said, at this stage of the season, not competitive. At the moment, it is, apart from Michael Andretti's leading Lola, it's very much a Reynard race. They're running second, third, and ready to strike should there be any kind of failure or mistake from Michael Andretti. Emerson Fittipaldi must be very upset indeed. As we ride now, this is Robbie Gordon under the yellow flags, of course. This is the yellow from the Ribeiro-Fernandez incident. I think Ribeiro's car is still being towed in. Fernandez managed to struggle back to the pits under his own power. Robbie Gordon still not really featuring in this race. I'd have expected a lot more thrusting driving from Robbie Gordon. He's known for his attacking style, to put it as politely as possible. He's a real racer, this guy. He started way back on the grid, but there'll be some good battles yet to come.
In the Grand Prix of Miami. Let's go back to Paul.
Watching live, Raul Boesel, as he leads the group around. Everybody made pit stops. And we are getting ready to come back off of this second full course caution of the day as you ride with Robbie Gordon. We're ready to go back green. 14 cars on the lead lap. Jen Swintal, the IndyCar starter, has the green flag in his hand as he peers up toward that 13th and final turn. And here they come. And there's the green. Riding with Michael Andretti. Looks like he just brushed the wall a little bit.
That's pretty easy to do at this racetrack.
Boy, but keep an eye on the car.
Looks like it's all right so far, Paul.
Concrete canyons everywhere. Bushman stays in close pursuit of Andretti.
This track reminds me an awful lot of the Long Beach racetrack. You know, with the concrete walls on both sides. The guys do rub them occasionally. It doesn't hurt the car unless you hit them kind of hard.
Whoa.
There's somebody hit it really hard.
The wall.
Bachelard, looks like. Eric Bachelard. The, no, bad call.
Dennis Vitolo.
Dennis Vitolo.
His first ride since the Indy 500 last year. Pretty severe damage to the nose, but they could change that and get it back to the pit area.
Remember,
yellow only in that area right now. Let me just give you the order, get everybody reset here, though. Michael Andretti leads it, followed by Gugelman. Jacques Villeneuve, he moved up into third place. Danny Sullivan is fourth, and Scott Pruitt is fifth.
You know, you look at the front of that nose right there, and that'll show you how far safety has come from just, say, 3 to 5 years ago. He hit that wall pretty hard, Paul, and he's driving back in. Direct hit to the wall. Now, that shows the engineers and the kart guys have done magic.
We are now going full course yellow. Third one of the day. This race slowing down, 28 laps complete, 90 the scheduled distance. This is Michael's incident. Look at him get trapped down on the inside and brush the wall. The real question is, did he brush it or did he just kick up a bunch of sand? This is on board with Michael. Watch it, Bobby.
Yeah, now what happens is he's trying to pass on the inside, so kind of keep that in mind as we watch this. Gets kind of close. Yes, he hit it. That's not dirt. That's a hit.
No, that's a full.
But remember,
hit.
If it doesn't break that wheel, the wheel is magnesium and they're very brittle if they're going to break. If it doesn't break that wheel, he didn't hit it hard enough to hurt anything, and it doesn't look like there's going to be a problem.
It doesn't change the suspension settings.
Well, it could, but he didn't really hit it hard enough in the front or the rear of the tire. It was kind of like a direct hit, and then it doesn't bend anything.
You see that little wave as he went by his pits? Let's go pit side and Jackaroo.
Well, Paul, trying to stay on top of every possibility, the Newman Haas team was ready for Michael Andretti to come in and take on new tires. What happened was he radioed in initially that he thought after that hit that the tire was beginning to go down. They're back behind the pace car. You can notice that he tries to wheel the car back and forth a little bit to see what the situation is. They're just going to stand by down here. It's going to be Michael's call whether he comes in or stays out.
Wow, did you see that? It looked like rush hour on I-95 here as the pace car came out. Michael Andretti had to jump on the brakes to make sure that he stayed behind it and the car ahead of him. Take a look at this.
Boiselle is right ahead of him. He's the guy that almost hit the pace car. Look at all the smoke right there. That's Boiselle catching the pace car. Didn't know it was there. Probably running 170 miles an hour. Now the pace car is going to wave him by because he's really down a lap. It's going to be a big gain for Boiselle right there.
Well, the officials have been, and rightly so, adamant about enforcing these blend rules and keeping the cars in order. So they help keep fairness into the event. And there can be some pretty severe penalties if you get around that car. Jill DeFerrin's car has been taken into the paddock area. It's out of the race. And Gary Gerald has an update on Eddie Cheever.
Well, Eddie Cheever has been in the pits on 2 occasions. He had damage up on the front wing, Paul, and they had what resulted in him shearing off a brake rotor. So he has no front brakes. They've tried to make some repairs. He has rear brakes. He is now back out on the circuit. Meanwhile, in the adjacent pit, Adrian Fernandez was involved in that earlier bumping incident, had suspension damage on the left front side. The crew has replaced all of that. He's now back on the circuit.
If Michael Andretti makes a pit stop, the leader will be Mauricio Gugelmin, whose best finish last year was a 5th in Vancouver. So suddenly we're going to see a man unaccustomed to being right at the very front catapulted into a commanding position. And he is driving for a team that has not tasted the lead either, Pac West.
Sam, another guy that's out of the race right now.
So, if you're feeling as breathless as I am here and you're having trouble keeping up with the action, because my goodness me, we've had a few incidents, let me tell you that Michael Andretti still leads despite having a little brush with the wall. It doesn't look as though the car is damaged. Mind you, we're not back up to racing speed here. We're following the pace car. But after an exemplary race to that point, Michael Andretti, a little brush with the wall. Second place, Maurizio Gugelmin. Third, Villeneuve. Fourth, Danny Sullivan. A good race for Danny Sullivan. Fifth, Scott Pruitt in the Firestone Shod Lola. Sixth, Bobby Rahal. And then it's Robbie Gordon working his way up. Christian Danner, Jimmy Vasser and Stefan Johansson. That is the top 10 at the moment. So Ford engines are in the top 5 places. Not a good day for the Mercedes engines. Although, of course, this is only the first race of the year, and you can bet your bottom dollar that Mario Ilian and the boys in Northampton and Mercedes and everybody else involved are not going to take this lying down, and nor, of course, are Penske. So, there we are. The top 10, after the top 10, Teo Fabi, just outside the top 10 at the moment. Christian Fittipaldi, who had a fairly messy pit stop in 12th position. Brian Herter, one of the young hopes for this season, in my opinion. A good, quick young driver, Brian Herter. He and Jimmy Vasser, well worth watching as the year goes on. And Eric Bacala, the Belgian driver, is 14th. Raoul Boesel, 15th. A disappointing race for Raoul Boesel. I think he certainly expected a lot of this season, and so did a lot of other people. But early days yet. Raoul Boesel, having changed teams, a man who lives here in Miami, in 15th place at the moment. So, we've had a few laps now under yellow flags because of various incidents around the circuit. Gilles de Ferran, by the way, is out of the race. He will not be continuing as we go back now to Derek Daly and Paul Page.
Is the true battle for position. Sullivan just behind Villeneuve and then Pruitt. Then this car, Ray Hall, and Gordon just behind him.
Pruitt is driving a terrific race, currently in 5th place on the new Firestone tires. He's been out for a year and he's come back hot.
Sullivan looks for room outside. Pruitt closes in. Great fight here.
Sullivan's last win was back in 1993 in Detroit. He's been out of business, so to speak, since then. But this team, which it seemed like a long shot, really, may not be at all. It may be one of the best teams in the business right now.
You know, one of the neat things when you see a group that's as tight as that group was, Sam and Paul, you know that the drivers not only have to look ahead of them, but they're watching both of their mirrors because somebody's trying to get around them on both sides.
Big name out of the race. Here's Gary Gerald.
Well, that big name is Emerson Fittipaldi. Emma, I know you didn't have radio. Then there were problems. Did it relate to electronics?
Yeah, it must be. I mean, I started no radio, and then the engine started to misfire, and then just nearly stopped, and we changed all the systems, the electrical system. It still misfired the engine. There's no way even to get out of the pit. I'm very disappointed, but beginning of the season, we have the whole season ahead of us, and we should be much stronger in Australia.
Is there a concern that your teammate is having the same problems in Alan Sir Jr.'s car?
It looks like, I mean, he already, but his car seems to be running okay now, and we're just looking. I'm looking for Australia for the championship now. That's Miami's going now.
Only a couple of weeks away, and a tough day for a man who just lives 10 minutes away by boat. Thanks, Emmo.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, definitely a hometown event for Emerson Fittipaldi. Alan Sir Jr. is 21st right now, 5 laps behind the race. And everybody is bottled up right now behind Salazar as Jack Villeneuve looks for any room that he can find. And the rest of the group is looking for whatever hole gets left open.
Well, this is going to make some really good racing because they're packed in tight. And every time they get down to the sharp corners or the tight corners, well, they're trying both sides. Any hole that they can find to do some passing.
Salazar, as I said, is 40 years old. He won 3 IMSA races last year. He's a very determined man. He's not going to just wave people by. He knows he can win races, even if he hasn't yet proven he can win IndyCar races.
So Villeneuve has passed him. Now Sullivan moves to the inside. So does Pruitt, so does Ray Hall, so does Robbie Gordon. Al Unser Jr. is there too, though remember he's 5 laps off the pace.
You know,
on board with Gordon.
With Robbie Gordon right there. And talking about Scott Pruitt, the red and white car when you see it with Firestone across the back. That's Pat Patrick's car. Pat Patrick, who helped start CART, one of the originators of it, is back into motor racing, and I think all of us are glad to see Patrick back.
Oh, and carrying his traditional number 20, the car that he's won Indy with and championships with. Yes, it is nice to see Pat back, and nice to see Firestone back as well. As suggested, a whole new playing field for strategy available in the tires now.
You know, Paul, nobody really thought, including myself, that Firestone would be so competitive in the first race. And already you can see Scott Pruitt. He's giving nothing up on the tires.
So in 7th place, this car, Robbie Gordon. Michael Andretti is still the leader, followed by Mauricio Gugelmin. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
And just to update you on Alicio Salazar, they think he may have a flat tire or a tire going flat, which is why he's slowing down.
So, to resume, so far, Andretti still leads. A remarkable race this so far by Michael Andretti. But Emerson Fittipaldi is out of the race. If you've just come in and sat down to watch the first IndyCar race of the year, Emerson Fittipaldi may as well climb back on his motor yacht and sail the 10 minutes back to his home across Biscayne Bay. A real blow that for Roger Penske. Paul Tracy is out in the Newman Haas Lola, out very early on after hitting the wall, and Al Unser Jr., if you're wondering what's happening to him, well, he is in 22nd place and he is 5 laps behind. We're riding now with the Mexican Fernandez. Spent a lot of time with him today, and whoa, you can see how bumpy it is. Takes his hand off the wheel to shift the gears, and the car's dancing all over the place. And we've seen some great racing down in the midfield. This is the great thing about IndyCar, I reckon. Even if there's a guy way out in the lead, there's always some good battles going on down the field. And as Unser Sr. has been pointing out to us, wow, I mean, there's 3 abreast in the braking area, people trying to find a gap here, a gap there. Fantastic racing. That's where Tracy went off, but Fernandez gets it right. Further down the field, Bobby Rahal is rounding out the top 6, followed by Robbie Gordon. And Christian Danner in 8th place. A good race from Christian Danner. And the first Mercedes engine car is Bobby Rahal's, down in 6th place. Otherwise, it's Lola, Reynard, Lola. Good top shot there of the Pac West car. And you can see just how accurate you have to be. Answer was saying it's like Long Beach, as we said at the beginning of the program. It does remind you there, Stefan Johansson, followed by Christian Fittipaldi. Some good dicing going on between these ex-Formula One boys. They've got away from fairly lackluster Formula One careers, some of them. Not necessarily because they couldn't hack it, but because if you're not in the right team, you're not in the hunt, as we all know. And a lot of them now coming over to do IndyCar. Whoops! Oh dear, oh dear. That is Zampedri, the Italian Alex Zampedri in the Lola Ford on Firestone tires, but those Firestones aren't going any further because they mixed up with the tires at the side of the track. And Signor Zampedri is just getting ready to climb out, walk back over the wall, helmet off, and that's the end of his day. The car's in a pretty dodgy position there. There's also bits of wreckage about. This is going to be a yellow for sure. As Zampedri, he's completely unhurt. He's just ridden up on top of the tires. They absorb a tremendous amount of impact, those tire barriers. But that'll definitely be a yellow, because if anybody else loses it there, they'll be straight into the what remains of Zampedri's Lola. So we've certainly seen a few incidents. Some of them expected, some of them unexpected. I really wouldn't have thought Tracy would have lost it in such a big way so early in the race, so early in the season. Yep, there we are, yellows all around the circuit. Well, this is a feature of IndyCar racing. Some people say that it makes it a false race. I totally disagree with that. It makes for extremely exciting spectating. And anyway, American racing has a great atmosphere about it. I always look forward to going racing in America, whether it's IndyCar or NASCAR or any of that stuff. It's such fun for the spectator. As we go back now to Derek Daly and Paul Page in Miami.
Because the cars are so low, they usually get underneath the tires, get the tires over them. He got his completely up on top. I'll bet he was wondering about that one.
He lives in Monaco. You know, Bobby, you made the point earlier, the rivalry between the tire companies. We have a sensational rivalry among the engine suppliers and the chassis manufacturers as well. So it's a wonderful season this way. Nobody seems to have the same combination of car. It's not a cookie cutter series at all.
So the car up on the tires there. And as suggested earlier, this has been a whole festive weekend. Let's take a look at some of the sights and sounds of Festival Miami.
A full course caution here for Alessandro Zampedri, who put the car up in the tire wall. Just to let you know, that car that Zampedri is driving, that one you see there, the MyJack car, which many drivers had last year, including Robbie Buell and a number of other drivers. He's racing for Dale Coyne, the football great here in North America, who is a co-owner. Pardon me, he's racing for Walter Payton, the football great, who is a co-owner with Dale Coyne, and they plan on fielding many more cars at the Indianapolis 500 coming up in May. Once again, Michael Andretti enjoying so far, apart from a little tap on the wall, a faultless day. Here's Brian Herter, had some problems earlier on in the race and is currently listed down in 14th position. Adrian Fernandez, we rode with earlier. We have 4 in-car cameras here for you today. And a very bad day for the Penske Marlboro team. Al Unser Jr. currently listed in 22nd position. Emerson Fittipaldi out of this race. Paul Tracy out of this race. I think this season you're going to find there's a lot more racing and a lot more action in the IndyCar series than last year. It seems everybody has come on strong, and with the new addition of the Mercedes engines, also we have the Honda engine, which is running very well now, and of course the Ford Cosworth engine, a new engine for them, but it's made the racing much, much closer. We also have the Reynard chassis, the Lola chassis, and the Penske chassis running here at Miami, and we may see some more as the season goes on.
Eurosport Live.
As we approach half distance here at Miami, it is a very bad day indeed for Penske, but an excellent day for Michael Andretti and the Newman-Haas Lola. That's Adrian Fernandez in pit lane, by the way. And we've been running under yellow for some 3 to 4 laps now after Alex Zampedri planted his car in the tyre barrier, exiting a right-hander at the back of the circuit. He managed to put it right up on top of the tyre, so it may take just a few laps to extricate that Lola. But you can see from some of these wider shots that it is very much like Long Beach, a sort of American Monte Carlo in a way, a lot wider, of course, a lot more road usable than in Monte Carlo. But street circuit always poses the same types of problems. Got to be very accurate, got to be fairly brave, and you need, of course, absolutely enormous concentration, because there are an awful lot of things to hit, as we have seen so far this afternoon. So, Andretti leads from Gugelmin, Jacques Villeneuve, Danny Sullivan, Scott Pruitt, and Bobby Rahal.
Back live in Miami, 15 laps of yellow, full course yellow thus far in the race. This is our 4th yellow of the day, but it does give us a chance to go down to the pits and see somebody we haven't seen in a long time, Gary Gerald.
Well, indeed. Pat Patrick has had national championship IndyCar drivers in the past. He's been away from the sport all last year testing, and Pat, I know the byword has been cautious optimism, and it looks like it's all starting to pay off, because this team's doing a heck of a job in this opening event.
Jerry, we're very happy. The tires are working very well. The car is performing extremely well, and Scott's doing an excellent job. We're very pleased overall.
You had those fingers crossed. Are they still crossed? We're checking down here. Yeah, they are. They're still crossed, Paul. Pat, you put in about 12,000 miles of testing in the last year. Have you ever undertaken such an extensive program?
No, I didn't. As you know, I got on the Alfa Romeo program, and it didn't work for various reasons. But when Firestone and Patrick got together, we made an arrangement right up front that we had to do a tremendous amount of testing to be sure the tire worked. And obviously it's working. We think we just turned the fastest lap of the race. You may have Paul and Bobby check that, but I think that's correct.
Well, this guy Scott Pruitt can handle a race car, can't he?
Yes, he can. Thank you.
Congratulations. Keep it going, Pat.
Thank you.
There he is. He currently runs in 6th place. Scott Pruitt out on the circuit. Firestone tires. Patrick Racing back. Under full course yellow, Michael Andretti's led from the start.
So, 50 laps to go in Miami.
50 laps to go here. And while we're on the subject of Scott Pruitt on those fast turn tyres, it's well worth remembering that he has Jim McGee looking after him in pit lane. Jim McGee, who did such a fantastic job for Newman Haas in 1993. Al Unser has been in and out of the pits, an absolutely dismal day for Al Jr. And Reynard have obviously improved their chassis. Reynard have been working very, very hard over the winter. Rick Gorn and Adrian, of course, out there in Miami overseeing things. And it seems at this stage it may be far too early to say, and after all it is a street race, we haven't seen the ovals yet. But at this stage it would appear that Reynard have made some serious improvements. They've obviously got a lot of teams to work with, 13 cars entered. And at the moment, apart of course from that leading car that we're with now, Michael Andretti's Lola, they are filling positions 2, 3 and 4, the Reynards. So Newman Haas probably very pleased at this stage to have Michael Andretti back on board. His father Mario said arrivederci to IndyCar last year. I for one was very sad to see that, although I'm so pleased that he came away completely unscathed. One of my favourite people in racing, and I know a lot of other people share that view. And look at this, this is not a good sight for fans of Penske. And if you're watching back in Poole tonight, I know just how you'll be feeling looking at this. An absolutely awful day. Emerson Fittipaldi out of it, and Al Unser spending a lot of time in the pits. But plenty of races to go, and anything can happen over the year, of course. Still under the yellow flags. Andretti cruising around in front of the field. Probably about 2 more laps of this, and then we'll be go.
Look at this. Here are the leaders of the race. After this yellow, they're all lined up together. Michael Andretti turns toward the green flag. Jim Swintal gives it a wave, and we're back racing. Andretti followed by Guzman, followed by Villeneuve.
First and second are exactly as they started. Michael Andretti was on the inside of the front row, Guzman on the outside, but Villeneuve has come way up the grid and is having a fine performance.
Then Sullivan, then Pruitt, there they are. Bobby Rahal and Robbie Gordon closing in as well.
You know, it's interesting to think last year, Michael Andretti and Guzman on the same team last year, not the same team this year, running first now, or run first and second. Guzman last year, ironically, was ahead of Michael most of the times in the races.
Yeah, they were bitter rivals actually last year, weren't they, Bobby, even though they drove for the same team. However, at the end of the year, it was Michael Andretti who had 2 wins and Guzman did not.
Michael has really looked good today, Sam. He's been in the right place at the right times. He's not abusing his car. He did rub the wall one time. That was just trying to pass, though.
In 8th place, just behind Robbie Gordon. Oh, look at Rahal. Boy, he almost lost it there. Just behind Robbie Gordon is Jimmy Vasser, who's now in the top 10. Then Stefan Johansson and Christian Fittipaldi rounds out the top 10.
That shows you the track is getting just a little bit slippery. Remember, the more rubber you put on the track, the more slippery it gets. There's no heat problems here.
Is that just a little bit or is it a little bit?
Well, a little bit. I mean, it's quite a bit right now.
Well, Bobby, your point at the beginning of the show about how parts of the track are cement, parts of it are pavement, is very tricky for the drivers to go from one part to another. And when the sun starts to get a little low in the sky, visibility problems happen too. Christian Fittipaldi, a terrific pass down on the inside.
So Christian Fittipaldi moves his way up. He's in the top 10.
Christian Fittipaldi is one of the fast drivers on the track right now, you guys, because after all, remember, he had the black flag incident. He had the problem in the pits. He's really moving that car. I think we're going to see him move up.
Christian made that move around Stefan Johansson, moved up into 9th place.
He's got Vasser right ahead of him now. That would be 8th place. And then Robbie Gordon just in that blue car. There's Gordon just disappearing at the bottom of the screen. So it'll be interesting. I think Fittipaldi is going to pick off 2 fairly big names, 2 American drivers here in the next couple of laps.
He's charging at the back end of Jimmy Vasser, who has had a great weekend here. New team for Jimmy, driving for Chip Ganassi. Robbie Gordon worrying him to death.
You see Robbie Gordon there going by first of that group. He's going to be on the Home Improvement Show with Tim Allen March 28th. You might want to watch for that.
So Christian Fittipaldi moving up. Stefan Johansson's not really happy with the pass that was made. I mean, it was a good pass, but I think he wants to get right back around him.
Boy, when Christian pulled out there, was going to pass going into the chicane, I thought, wow, I've got to see that if he goes through with it.
Christian Fittipaldi at the back of Jimmy Vasser.
Christian said, well, he was going to get a lot of tips from his nephew, Emo, but so far he's done much better this weekend than Emo has.
It's the other way around, Sam. He's the nephew. Emo's the uncle.
His uncle, sorry.
You on that.
Sorry, exactly. And I do think that when they get out to Phoenix, Uncle Emo is going to be very helpful to his young nephew. Don't you think?
Help Sam occasionally, don't we?
I don't know about the word helpful. I think he may show him a thing or two.
Yeah.
So watching this ongoing battle, revolving around Robbie Gordon, Jim Vasser, Christian Fittipaldi.
And keep in mind also, Robbie Gordon has the hard tires on his car, the hard Goodyears. Goodyear has two compounds here. A soft compound they use for qualifying and a harder compound for the race. Sometimes, even though it's harder, it's still a faster tire.
I love this angle. This is looking back from under the rear wing on Robbie Gordon's car. See Fittipaldi peek out there as they came through the chicane. Let Pruitt know he was there.
In the straightaways, the cars are not really running faster than the ones behind like you see there. It's just that you're going faster and they separate more, but they gather back up in the sharp turns.
That's Vasser just behind, then Fittipaldi.
Vasser, of course, has changed teams. He's now with the Ganassi team. He was with Jim Hayhoe's team last year. Doing a good job.
I think this shot really shows that accordion effect that happens into a corner. When the lead car gets under brakes, it looks like everybody's going to pull in and pass him. Then the lead car is first back to acceleration, and it evens back out.
True, it's somewhat...
Whoa! Wow. Jimmy Vasser just jumps to the inside all of a sudden on Robbie Gordon and gets him.
Best pass we've seen today. I mean, I know Robbie Gordon didn't expect that one.
And behind there, Christian Fittipaldi rips by Gordon as well.
Now you've got to ask yourself, is there something wrong? There's Johansson closing in on Gordon.
No, I think it's just the harder tires.
I don't think there's anything wrong. I think it's just a matter of, like, sometimes guys get caught a little bit lackadaisical. You call it going to sleep a little bit.
No, because look, once Vasser got around Gordon, he's really started to pull away. Here comes Johansson trying on Robbie Gordon's back end.
No, I think that's just the difference between the softer compound tires and the harder compound tires, which Gordon is wearing.
And that's more of some of the good stuff that we are going to see all season long with the two tire manufacturers being in this. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, throw the tire controversy right out the window. That's not the problem with Robbie Gordon. How'd you like to be in the cockpit of a car with the throttle sticking? That's what Robbie Gordon's involved with now in the Cummins Valvoline Special. He says every time he just nails it on the gas, all of a sudden it sticks and stays hung up.
No problem at all. We saw him pull to the side. He came off a little earlier. There's Stefan Johansson. And obviously, whatever problem he has, he has is terminal.
Yeah, that's a 94 Penske car. There's no accidents or anything like that we can see. It's just probably an engine or a transmission problem.
Well, I caught a glimpse of him slowing down just a few moments ago while Jack was speaking. Here we'll get a look at it.
He had been running in 10th place. Stefan, of course, the Swedish driver with the background in Formula One, drove for Ferrari.
That's also a 94 Penske car. It makes one wonder right there the problem happened. It's last year's Penske cars. You wonder whether they got all the stuff that little Al had last year on that car, don't you?
Well, we're just a little over halfway here. Johansson out of the race, Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, Bobby Unser still hasn't lost it. He surmised that it was a transmission. That's exactly what Stevie Johnson radioed in to Tony Bettenhausen. He says the transmission's gone away.
Stevie Johnson, our nickname from Stefan Johansson. There are other nicknames. We won't use them here, right, Bobby?
One good race driver, too. I really respect and admire that guy. He's really taken under the American scene, too.
Back to the leader of the race. We haven't seen much of him, and that's because he has been so powerful here at the front of the field. Michael Andretti, now 4 seconds out in front of second place Mauricio Gugelmin. There comes Gugelmin off the corner. But look, he's being challenged by Jacques Villeneuve right now. And waiting in the wings is Danny Sullivan and Scott Pruitt.
Villeneuve, remember, in the blue and white car, was a rookie last year, but he won at Elkhart Lake. He had a brilliant pass there near the end of the race and secured that win for him. And today, he is one of the fastest cars on the track. Probably second fastest compared to Michael Andretti.
You know, we're over halfway into the race, and these guys have not let up on this battle right here the entire distance. So the price of racing is going to get pretty rough as we get near the end here.
So So there's Mauricio Gugelmin. Jack's just behind him. We could be due for stops any time now. Michael Andretti has gone 23 laps since his last pit stop, and several of the crews have started to lay out the equipment for the second and what should be the final pit stop of the day. And Michael peels off and heads into the pits. He's in the very first pit, Jack Arute.
And Paul, all he was yelling on the radio as he came in is right front, right front. They seem to think that maybe he had a right front go down, so they elected not to push the window any further than they had to. You're right, this should be the final stop for your leader. But boy, talk about living under, now he's killed the engine. The engine is dead, Paul.
Oh, they've got a broken control arm on the front of the car. On the right front of the car, there's a broken control arm. You saw him reach down and pick it up.
That's the side of the car, of course, that hit the wall earlier, so it makes you wonder if perhaps this wasn't something destined to happen.
Of course, it's so easy to touch a concrete wall around here. This is really, really sad. Michael, at least from our vantage point, has done such a good job today and really controlled this race entirely.
Yeah, there's the arm that's broken. The day is done for Michael. They may get him back in the race, but not in the lead. Mauricio Gugelmin is now the leader.
This is very bad luck for Michael, but on the other hand, it's very good luck that this didn't break in a way that put him in the wall out there on the track.
Exactly. Yes, you're absolutely right there, Sam.
So for the first time in his IndyCar career, Mauricio Gugelmin is the leader of the race. And there he is. Second place now is Villeneuve. Third is Sullivan. Pruitt is fourth. Bobby Rahal is fifth.
And the Pac West team is now 1 and 3, a new team.
So now, with 25 or 50 laps complete, we are moving up with a brand new leader in IndyCar racing in the person of Mauricio Gugelmin. And we talked about new faces. They are very definitely at the front of the field right now.
You know, this is really working itself up to be a good race. There's Gugelmin right there, Villeneuve right behind him, and a whole bunch right behind them.
Certainly the international flavor is being borne out.
Gugelmin, the Pac West team. Jack Villeneuve with 1 win in his career so far, that at Road America last year, with a promise of many more to come.
We're not going to sell Danny Sullivan shy. You know, he's in third place. Danny is racy. He's really become a racy race driver right now.
So this is what put Michael Andretti on the restart up against the wall and broke the suspension member. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Eurosport Live.
Well past the halfway point now, and I really hope you're enjoying this as much as we are. My goodness, what a fantastic way to open the season. There is going to be a battle royal between Gugelmin and Villeneuve now. This is real motor racing. What a great way to spend a Sunday night. Been looking forward to this all winter. There is Gugelmin in the Pac West, Reynard Ford and Jacques Villeneuve in the Team Green, Reynard right behind him. So Reynard's first and second, and well, what can you say about Michael Andretti? That's what happens if you hit the wall. It's very, very, very unlikely you're going to get away with it, and he didn't. So a disappointing day for Newman Haas. Both cars out of the race now. A terrible day for Penske. But how exciting this is to see Mauricio Gugelmin. A lot of people back home will be so pleased to see this. A very popular figure in Formula One, a delightful guy. And Jacques Villeneuve right behind him. And then comes Danny Sullivan, a very rejuvenated Danny Sullivan. And behind him, Scott Pruitt in the Firestone Shod Lola. And we go back now to our Americans, Derek Daly and Paul Page.
To make before they finish.
Back live in Miami as Bobby Rahal continues his pursuit of Scott Pruitt and Danny Sullivan in a continuing fight for third place. Interesting new bulletin came out this morning from IndyCar as we take a look at the running order after 52 laps. The most interesting part is that determines the length of the race. It is scheduled for 90 laps, or according to, oh no, car into the wall, and I'm trying to look and see what the damage may be to the front of that. That's Ribeiro.
That's Ribeiro. Yeah, car number 31, Ribeiro. It's really hard to see it when he's all on the tires like that.
He's okay, but I think that car's probably done. Remember, he was in an incident earlier.
Yeah,
let's get back to this 6V.5. The race can end at the completion of 90 laps or at 2 hours. And we're going to cut very, very close to that. Very close to that. So Jack Arute and Gary Gerald, starting with Jack, does that affect strategy now?
Well, Paul, taking a look at my end of the pits down with Robbie Gordon and Raul Boisel and Christian Fittipaldi, and most importantly, the Rahal Hogan team of Bobby Rahal, they all say that they have adjusted their strategy, and this full course yellow that we have just gone onto plays right into their hands. Most teams are going to elect to come in now for what should be their final stop, assuming that this race will go 2 hours instead of the advertised distance. Now, if all of a sudden the race speed picks up, these drivers could have to make a third stop.
Let's go down further in the pits to Gary Gerald.
And waiting anxiously for his drivers who are first and third, Bruce McCaw. Now, Bruce, we're talking about the possibility of this becoming a timed race. Is that entering into your strategy now?
Well, it's not our strategy yet. We're just running to stay out in front.
Got right now running first and third. You've got Mauricio in here in the pits getting serviced right now. You've got to be terribly proud and excited about what this team is doing. He's watching them closely. You've got to be terribly proud and excited about what's going on.
Our team, the Pac West team, has done a fantastic job all winter getting ready for this race. We've had a year now to get organized, and we're just thrilled. I mean, this.
Did you think you could be up running first and third in your realistic dreams?
No.
All right, that says.
The guys have worked hard, and Mauricio's done a fantastic job, and we're thrilled to have him as part of the team. And Danny, we're great to see Danny back in the series. He's done a wonderful job for us.
Keep it going. Let's go back to Jack.
Well, Gary, 1 year ago in Surfers Paradise, Michael Andretti came back to IndyCar racing and was victorious, and it looked as if you were going to repeat the opening race here today. What happened out there to break the right front that way?
I think it was the first restart, and I was behind Christian Fittipaldi, and I went to pass him in turn one, and I thought he saw me, and he didn't, and we hit, and I hit the wall, and I guess it bent it because I ran the rest of the time. It was okay, and then it just finally broke.
When you're running out there and you've had a situation like that, do you think about it, or do you put it out of your mind until it totally broke?
I thought about it for about 10 laps, thinking, I hope nothing's wrong, and then after 10 laps, I sort of figured, well, it must be okay, but obviously it wasn't. It's really disappointing.
But back to the Gold Coast, back to the place where you were victorious last year. You getting excited to go across the pond?
Well, I feel really good about this year. The car was flawless. I mean, we were running a second a lap quicker than anybody, and hopefully that's a sign of things to come this year.
Paul?
Of course, Jack, you're referring to the race in Australia at Surfers Paradise in 2 weeks, and we will have coverage of that race too right here on ABC Sports. All of the yachts in the center of the track. A couple of $1 million floating there, and there are the cruise ships. Some of these yachts would make those cruise ship captains envious of what they have on board. Great, beautiful day here in Miami. You know, Ralph Sanchez, who puts this race together, has also been working on an entire new race course over at Homestead, not all that far from here. That track has been under construction for over a year now, and there's the very good real possibility that that will be open as early as July. And then it will start hosting races. Now the IndyCars, Bobby, will they go to Homestead? There's what it looks like under construction.
Yes, and it's a state-of-the-art track. Ralph told me this morning he's going to spend approximately $70 million on this racetrack, which is unheard of. But most importantly, no matter what happens there, whether it gets delayed or whatever, he's got 2 years right here under contract with the city of Miami. So no matter what, we're going to have super good IndyCar racing here in Miami for a long time.
Homestead is a really great layout. It's patterned after Indy with the 4 distinct turns, but it's only 1.5 miles long. So it's kind of a combination of a mile track and Indy. It should be a great racing track.
Well, now under this full course yellow to show you how the pit crews can make a difference. When they came back out after that stop, Jack Villeneuve's crew gained him 2 positions in the pits, and he comes out as the leader of the race. Gugelman second, Rahal third, Scott Pruitt fourth, and Danny Sullivan fifth. Good job by that team.
The old adage, first in, first out. And if you look at that right away, Villeneuve Hey, he's with a tried and proven team, guys that really know what they're doing. Whereas Gugelmin, Pac West, not knocking the team, they're certainly running good today, but they don't have as much experience.
You know, as we say all the different drivers' names, realize that there are drivers here in this race from 11 different countries, 5 from Brazil.
Scott Pruitt also had a good stop. He went in 7th place and came out in 4th. 56 laps complete. We're under yellow.
Eurosport Live.
Back at Miami for the first IndyCar race of the season, and it's been all action so far. Stefan Johansson is out of the race now, by the way, and so is Andre Ribeiro in the Honda-powered car. Ribeiro going straight on into the tyre barrier. Great shame for Honda. They were looking a little bit better at this, the opening race of 95, than they did last season. There is Jacques Villeneuve in the Team Green Reynard Ford. And there he is with the late, great Gilles. What a great picture. Wow, don't we remember those days? Brings a lump to the throat. And he'd be so proud, wouldn't he? Jacques Villeneuve is really going to be a man to watch this year, I think. The green team has really got its act together. They're running a single car entry for Jacques Villeneuve. Their attention is entirely focused on him. There's a great atmosphere in the team. And I don't know, I just think this could be a great year for number 27, which of course was carried by Gilles on the Ferrari all those years ago. Well, they're following the pace car around at the moment, as we've seen so much of this afternoon, but that's hardly a surprise when you get a load of IndyCar drivers, first time out, first race of the year, and all these concrete walls about. They've all been raring to go. They've been testing for 5 months. They just want to get on with it. We've seen a bit of red mist around the place, particularly in the opening few laps. But so far, a good, fast, clean race by Jacques Villeneuve. And wasn't that a fantastic overtaking move he pulled a few laps ago? And the other man I've enjoyed watching this evening has been Christian Fittipaldi. It must be a long time since we've seen so much of Christian Fittipaldi on our screens. It was hard to remember sometimes. He was out there in Formula One. So, lap 59, green flag, and there goes young Jacques Villeneuve. So, plenty of racing still to come. A lot of excitement, I think. A long way to go. Here's Derek Daly and Paul Page.
Look how much he jumped him right away.
On board, 3rd place, Bobby Rahal. Gugelmin just ahead.
Rahal has been working his way stealthily through the pack. Remind you, he's 3rd now.
59 laps are complete.
This is a typical Rahal race. Drive carefully in the opening going. If you don't have the fastest car, keep everything together, pick people off.
Dennis Vitolo again. Looks like engine this time. That should not bring out a full course. That'll just bring out locals, yellows, I would guess. Unless, of course, the car ends up in a precarious position on the racetrack and they have to tow it in.
Remember when Dennis wound up on top of Nigel Mansell in pit lane at Indy last year?
I don't think any of us like to see that. That had us all wondering there.
I don't think he's in the right spot on the track. Do you, Bobby?
No.
Battle for 2nd now behind the leader. Rahal closing on Gugelmin. Jack is pulling away.
And let's keep in mind, too, now you see Villeneuve in front of Gugelmin a little while ago before the yellow, before the pit stops. Gugelmin was ahead of Villeneuve. Now, when you're running in 2nd place, you're running in what we call dirty air. It messes up the car behind just a little bit going through turns like right now. Of course, that's slow speed through the chicane. But as you get through the faster turns, the front wings don't get enough downforce on the car that's behind. That hurts them a lot and makes passing a lot harder.
About 4 seconds cover the first 12 cars.
Rahal and his team have done more testing this year than any other year. They did 4,000 miles compared to a high of 3,000 any other year before. It's obviously paying off right at this moment. They seem to have a very well-balanced car right now.
Bobby Rahal is tired of doing development work. He wants to race this year, and he and Carl Hogan have told everybody, this year we're going to race. Development time is finished.
Well, they tried their own special chassis, then they tried the engine program with Honda. Neither of those things paid off for them. They were were ambitious ideas and could have put them way out front. Now they've gone back to what you might call off-the-shelf stuff, and they're doing beautifully.
Bobby Rahal, of course, with Mercedes-Benz power. But Bobby Unser, that is not the same Mercedes-Benz power that won the Indianapolis 500 last year.
No, and I'm glad you brought that up, and it's time to explain it. This is really a copy of, or not a copy, but a similar thing to the Ford Cosworth engine, or what was the Elmore engine, or what was the Chevrolet engine before. Built by Elmore Engineering in England, it's just an updated version and Mercedes-Benz redevelopment or development of an engine. So it's still a very small 4-cam turbocharged small engine with just standard boosters, all the Cosworth engines have and everything else.
161 cubic inch engine. I asked Paul Morgan, one of the builders. The manufacturer is Ilmore, and Paul Morgan is the Moore of that. And I said, what can you do to an engine? What were you concerned with an engine that's formula has existed for so long? He said he's trying to get it to turn a little faster, and they worked very hard on helping it economize fuel this year.
I think the distinction that should be made, though, is it's not the kind of engine you might find in a Mercedes car, a street machine. It's built purely for racing.
But what they did, Sam, to make it better than last year or make it different was they made it breathe better. Air is what makes engines run. If you put air and then put some fuel with it, they make more horsepower. And they definitely have more horsepower this year than they've had in the past, but it isn't the same engine. It's a development from that engine.
Danny Sullivan working on 4th place, Scott Pruitt.
Look at how exciting this is. They are not stretching out. They're compacting. It's very good racing.
First 5 cars all right together on the race course.
One just more little thing on the Mercedes thing. When we do go to Indianapolis, of which we'll be covering at ABC this year, they won't see the same Mercedes engine they saw last year. They'll see Mercedes engines there, but it won't be the rocker arm or what we call the stock block engine.
That formula is effectively outlawed.
It's outlawed. It won't happen anymore. We don't even see those engines around anymore, but I know all the fans ask me constantly about the Mercedes engine. They mean the one that little Al won with last year.
62 laps now complete.
You see Bosell and the Duracell car leading. Christian Fittipaldi, both these men have had their troubles throughout this race. They're battling now, as you see, for 7th place. I think we're going to see a lot of both these men at the front throughout the year. They have good cars and they're extremely good drivers. Remember, Bosell is now the teammate to Bobby Rahal. Rahal's running 3rd.
By the way, Michael Andretti came back to tell us that he thinks he identified Christian Fittipaldi, that car that you see right there, as his problem, the number 15 car that came across him and made him brush the wall. And now he wants to correct that because he believes that, in fact, it was Alessio Salazar. Fittipaldi, it's a little offline. Gives the room to Vassar, and Vassar goes inside.
He got into the speed bumps, had to slow down, and of course he lost a lot because of that. You can't get the car up on these curbs or into the speed bumps very fast because you have problems with it.
That's a classic example of what one small little mistake means. A whole car length lost and a place lost.
And on this track, even getting on the curbs, as we watch the on-camera shots, we see the curvings all the way around there on the left, all around. They don't run much on them here. They're very slippery. Also, you see they're all painted. Paint doesn't make it get adhesion, it makes it more slippery.
Riding, of course, with Brian Herter, his teammate Vassar, 2 cars ahead. So the Chip Ganassi team well represented in this shot.
64 laps complete, 26 to go. They're averaging a little over a minute a lap, so it looks like without any new caution periods here, this course will run to its 90-lap conclusion. But it's going to be pretty close.
There's Vassar in the red car with the STP decal on the side of it. That's Vassar, then Fittipaldi, and then Herta. There's Herta just coming in the top of the screen.
Jimmy Vassar's an awfully good race driver. With Jim Hayhoe last year, under finance. Jim's a long-time good friend of mine. Got me into flying a lot of ways. Talked to him this morning, Sam, and Jim just said he didn't have enough money to keep the gap up. He had a good driver in Vassar, so he had to join with Chip Ganassi on the Target team right there and become a member of that. Besides that, he says he's saving an awful lot of money himself personally.
Well, Vassar had a 3rd place finish last year. He has been very, very good. Of course, right now he's running 8.
Very proud promoter here, Ralph Sanchez, says the crowd here is 90,000 today. Completely sold out, turning people away. The Super Bowl held here 72,000 at Joe Robbie Stadium. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Couple of updates, Paul, concerning the defending champion Al Unser Jr. He's having to come to the pits about every 6 laps. One of the batteries that controls an alternator control box and other electronics keeps draining and the car begins to misfire. So they change a battery about every 6 laps. They're doing diagnostic work, but clearly he's just out there trying to learn more and more about a brand new race car. As for Jacques Villeneuve, we talked briefly with Barry Green, asked him if there were any concerns whatsoever. He says, our concern is we've still just got too far to go. And looking at the history of this weekend with all the incidents, we're just hoping that he can stay and keep his nose clean. Other than that, car is working beautifully.
The 64 car is Christian Danner. He started in 21st position. He now runs 11th. Nice steady fire throughout the entire run of the race, and you got a glimpse of Adrian Fernandez there, involved in confrontation earlier, but was able to get the car back into the running. 66 laps now complete. Jacques Villeneuve may be looking at his second IndyCar victory.
With 66.
So 25 laps to go now, and Jacques Villeneuve still leads this race in the Reynard Ford, followed by Maurizio Gugelmin in another Reynard Ford. Third is Bobby Rahal in a Lola Mercedes. Then it's Scott Pruitt on those Firestone tyres in the Patrick Lola. Danny Sullivan in the Pac West Reynard, Robbie Gordon, Raul Boesel, Jimmy Vasser, Christian Fittipaldi and Brian Herter. And haven't we seen some great racing down for those 6th, 7th and 8th places? Christian Fittipaldi really going for it. Out fumbled by Jimmy Vasser a moment ago. Looked to me like Christian missed a gear. Maybe he got up on the curb, hard to say, one of the two anyway, but he lost a place to Jimmy Vasser. And Jimmy Vasser is a man to watch this season. Very impressive in Formula Atlantic, and he's going to go places in IndyCars, I think. So 25 laps to go, and you can see that it's getting slipperier and slipperier. If you watch on coming out of some of these slower corners, there's a lot of oil and rubber down on the circuit now. About 20 odd minutes to go, and it is still Villeneuve, Gugelmin, Rahal, Pruitt, Sullivan and Robbie Gordon. So a disastrous day for Penske, a disastrous day for Newman Haas, but don't think that this is necessarily a pointer for the season. It may well not be. We don't go to an oval until the 3rd race, that's at Phoenix. We've got Surfers Paradise in Australia in a fortnight's time. Anything can happen. But today in Miami, we've seen some exciting motor racing, and for me, that's what it's all about. That's Scott Pruitt, number 20, looked after by Jim McGee of Newman Haas fame, running on the Firestone tyres. As we look over the shoulder, as we look over Adrian Fernandez's shoulder, who must have been caught napping there, I think, for a moment. Somebody slipped inside him. So plenty of racing still to go, and Jacques Villeneuve is leading, but not by much, from Gugelmin. We return to Derek Daly and Paul Page.
It's scheduled for 90 laps or 2 hours, whichever comes first. Jack Arute, right now it looks like 90 laps is going to come first. So the question I would have is, what about fuel for a number of these teams?
Well, Paul, remember during that last stop, we said some crews were taking the gamble that it would go only the 2-hour distance. Now everybody's recalculating because the speed is picked up. They feel they're going to go to the 90 laps that was advertised. And here's what's happened. Bobby Rahal says they have enough to go the distance, enough fuel. His counterpart, Raul Boesel, does not. They feel they will have to go back and have a splash and go. For Robbie Gordon, the situation is thus. They feel they've got enough, but his problem is with the throttle sticking. He may have to come in as well. What about your end of the pits, Gary?
Well, Jack, everybody that we're checking here seems to be in good shape. That group includes Jacques Villeneuve. They say they're right on target. They're delighted with their fuel mileage they're getting thus far. Scott Pruitt's crew says the same. They're good till the end of the race. Also, the Pac West team, Gugelmin and Sullivan, okay to the end of the event.
Villeneuve is the leader. There's second place, Mauricio Gugelmin, Bobby Rahal third, Scott Pruitt. First 3 cars are on Goodyear tires. Scott Pruitt is on Firestone. Danny Sullivan runs in 5th place. But we watch now the 18 car, the Pac West machine of Mauricio Gugelmin, who is trying to stalk down the leader of the race.
There's no more affable driver than Gugelmin, accessible to anyone at any time, a terrific guy to be around.
Just think, if a race were to end like this, think how bad that the Pac West guys are going to feel knowing that they actually lost the race in the pits. Not on the racetrack, but in the pits.
Well, take it the other way. How good are Barry Green's guys going to feel that they won it in the pits for Jack?
They're going to feel really good if that's what happens.
And, of course, they'll spread more money around, right?
That's right.
Remember, in this day and age, it isn't just the driver or the driver in the car. It's very much the crew chief that counts. As a tactician, a man who works out the overall strategy as well sometimes. And Barry Green is always mentioned among the superstars in that category. If you race Barry Green, you know you've really got your hands full.
That's a lot of what makes our racing really good, Sam, is the pit stops. That really makes it exciting because it's like you said, it's teamwork.
Danny Sullivan, the year off didn't hurt him a bit.
Well, he has dropped, of course, from third and a more ambitious positioning on the track, now down to fifth. You wonder about his fitness. He is 44 years old, the second oldest driver in the race. Emerson Fittipaldi, 48. I doubt it. I mean, he's been pouring on the fitness as only he can, exercising, but there's nothing like driving a race car. Danny could conceivably be tiring. Just speculation.
Robbie Gordon just went out and around Eddie Cheever, putting him down a lap. Eddie Cheever runs in 16th place, driving the famous 14 of A.J. Foyt.
We were watching Robbie Gordon a couple of days ago when he was out here running, and we watched his hands. You watch his hands on the steering wheel that you just saw there, how smooth it is. The other day he was jerking all over the track with the car that he was in, ultimately having some accidents, having some problems. He's really smoothed out during the race. Now that's what his car owners and that's what his sponsors are looking for. The boy really has a lot of talent, but he needs to smooth out a little bit.
And he also, Bobby, needs to win a race this year.
Oh, Danny Sullivan loops it in front of Robbie Gordon. Gordon climbs on the brakes. He gets around him. Danny's going to try to get the car going again. He's got the engine still fired. Jimmy Vasser comes around. Christian Fittipaldi comes around.
These cars don't have a good turning radius, and he's not going to be able to back that thing up.
They got a terrible turning radius. He needs somebody to push him back. He needs those men to come out. Look at him giving him the hand signals. Yeah. He needs it so desperately. He's done such a good race. And he's losing it right now and losing it bad. One of the IndyCar safety teams, as well as one of the course marshal members, is there. And they need to get through that fence and get Danny going. Danny Sullivan was running in fifth. Look at this man is thinking he wants to get through the fence. He needs to do it. He wants to get pushed back. It's almost past tense now because it's going to be too late. Here he comes. You can see the rear wheels lit up. He got her loose, spun it around. But show you about experience, he's keeping the engine running. Now, while the engine's sitting there, incidentally, it's getting hot because there's no air flowing to it. They'll get hot in a hurry. Now watch, he's turning to the left as far as he can, but like you said, Paul, they won't turn very far. He's run out of room. He's on the grass. He's against the wall. All right, now put this one into the strategy. Let's see how fast they can get that car off of the course as we ride with Robbie Gordon because they've just gone full course yellow. But once again, the time factor may be a factor. Look at that.
Remember when Danny spun in front of Mario Andretti at Indianapolis and went on to win? That anniversary is coming up exactly on its 10th anniversary this year. That Robbie Gordon did not know which side to go on. Boy, was he trying to make a decision there.
So with a full course yellow out once again, 72 laps or 90 of complete. Might be a 2-hour race as well. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Just 18 laps remain.
So, less than 20 laps to go, and wow, Robbie Gordon was lucky there. Danny Sullivan spinning right in front of him. Robbie Gordon went exactly the right way, stamped on the power and got out of it. But what a disappointment for Danny Sullivan, former IndyCar champion, of course. He just got on the power too early, at least that's what it looked like, and the track's pretty slippy there. There's a lot of rubber down there, spun right in front of Robbie Gordon. But to recap then, Jacques Villeneuve still leads the race from Maurizio Gugelmin, Bobby Rahal, Scott Pruitt, Robbie Gordon. That is the order, and whoa, that's a blow up. Didn't quite catch who that was, but just to confirm, it is Villeneuve, Gugelmin, Rahal, Pruitt, Gordon and Jimmy Vasser now up into the top 6. And we'll try and bring you up to date with that, who that was. Engine blue there. Very, very, very small numbers on race cars these days. That's my excuse anyway. But full course yellow because of Danny Sullivan being stranded out on the circuit. And we can see now that's Eliseo Salazar, the Chilean. And there he is, climbing out. Well, that engine is completely blown to bits by the look of it. Marshall's putting a bit of fire extinguisher on it. But Eliseo Salazar, he's a rookie driver this year in IndyCar, the Chilean, driving a Lola Ford. So about 15, 16 laps left now. And the track getting pretty slippy. The shadows getting longer too on the circuit. Makes it a little bit tricky for everybody. But it really does look as though Jacques Villeneuve is going to win this race for Reynard, with Gugelmin coming in second in another Reynard. So stand by to celebrate in Bicester tonight. Maybe. We rejoin Derek Daly and Paul Page.
Let's join now Paul Page, Sam Posey and Bobby Unser.
Back live in Miami, that's Eliseo Salazar standing over on the left side of your screen there, looking down on his number 7 car that did this under the full course yellow. Look at the vortice coming off the wing through that smoke. Does that tell you something about downforce?
Oh, man. You know what really is happening there, Paul, is the cylinder head of something breaks and the water is going to the turbocharger, causing all that white smoke.
Nevertheless, it fogged the course up for a bit. We were under full course yellow anyway. It may lengthen that a little bit. 74 laps are complete, and we'll see whether or not this turns out a timed race. Of course, in 2 weeks, Sunday, March 19th, here on ABC Sports, IndyCar action goes down under. The Australian IndyCar Grand Prix. Don't miss our coverage from Surfers Paradise in 2 weeks, right here on ABC Sports. So the leaders, once again, packed up behind the pace car. 10 cars all right together there, all fighting for position as they get Danny Sullivan back underway so he can rejoin this pack, but he'll be well down in the field.
When the race resumes, it's going to be an incredible struggle between the youth of Jacques Villeneuve and the experience of Bobby Rahal, I think, as this thing develops, because I think Rahal may very well get past Gugelmin and take on Villeneuve.
You don't see Gugelmin as a factor?
I see him as a factor. I think we're going to see a lot of Bobby Rahal.
Let's get a pool going, Sam. I disagree with you.
Robbie Gordon went out to make a move, tried to get around Scott Pruitt, battle back in the field, didn't get it done. Focus is on the front. Gordon, boy, he came way wide off of that corner. On board, Robbie Gordon.
You can see all the fence wavering. That's from the air that the cars are disturbing as they go by. They're not really hitting the wall, causing the fence to do that.
And that's a chain link fence.
Static at the front with the first 4 positions. Though Pruitt now beginning to battle with Bobby Rahal. Battle between Firestone and Goodyear.
You know, this is the right time of the race to really see what the tires are doing. The track is about as slippery as it's going to get. So the Firestone guys and the Goodyear guys are all looking at this. Leo Mel himself is here, looking from Goodyear to see how the tires are going to react at the end of the race. Here's one of the best contests I could ever believe for that.
The amazing thing is the challenge of the tire builders. They have to build for a track like this, then a mile speedway like Phoenix, and then they have to build the super speedway tires for Indianapolis, where they have to go 225 and more.
Of course, Scott Pruitt has spent a fairly lonely year testing those tires so they would be ready for this comeback into IndyCar racing.
And that's testing with no publicity or anything. Everything was deep secret, wouldn't let anybody see it, know what was going on, and Firestone came out and they've really done a good job. I'm sure that Leo Mel from Goodyear is really watching that today, wondering, did Firestone really catch up this quick?
Everybody maintains position. Fittipaldi working at the back of Jimmy Vasser. Villeneuve, Gugelmin, Rahal, Pruitt, Robbie Gordon, top 5. Then Vasser, Fittipaldi, Brian Herta, Raul Boesel, and Christian Danner rounding out the top 10. Vasser is that target car in front there. The second target car in the line right behind Fittipaldi is Brian Herta.
Herta, remember, injured badly at Toronto last year. This is his first race back. He's had the whole winter to convalesce. It's good to see him racing again, and competitive, too.
On board, Brian Herta, the 8th place car. Villeneuve is 9/10 of a second ahead of Mauricio Gugelmin in front. We'll keep looking here.
With the onboard cameras in the cars, we can watch the guys' hands, and especially on this track, see how much they work. That kind of tells you how they're handling and how hard they're hustling the cars. Brian Herta, for example, really is smooth. He's just glass smooth.
Boy, very tidy at that chicane for Herta for sure, Bobby.
Oh, Fittipaldi's right there at the back of Vassar's car. Fittipaldi making a charge now. Battle for 5th or 6th place. Battle for 6th.
Remember Fittipaldi having his first race in an IndyCar. Do not confuse him with his uncle Emerson. Did I get it right?
You got it right, Sam.
Good.
77 laps complete, 90 laps scheduled distance. We're still looking at a race at distance. But the 2-hour time limit is going to be fairly close behind it. 10 cars all on the leader lap.
Tires after a yellow are always a little bit faster. You see that most of the passing and most of the charging and most of the fights going on right after yellow. They'll lay back sometimes, let their tires cool off, because these cars really use their tires hard. And so then they only have a little bit before they get them hot again to make another run for a pass.
This is a good battle between Vassar here and Fittipaldi, representing Vassar, of course, a great up-and-coming American driver. Fittipaldi, a guy who was coming up through the European ranks, has finished as high as 3rd and 4th in Formula One. Look at that.
Oh, Christian Fittipaldi right underneath it. Scared him so bad that Herta came under him too.
Whoa. There's something wrong with the car. It just almost quit and slowed down.
Look at it dart.
Big time.
Al Unser Jr. right behind him. Al goes well off the pace of the race.
Yeah, there's something went wrong with the car there, because it doesn't slow down that much just because he made a little bit of mistake.
Can you believe a race, an IndyCar race in this age where we have not seen Al Unser Jr. almost all day, way out front? Isn't it amazing?
Well, let's consider this. If he stays where he is, Al Unser Jr. won't finish in the points. Emerson Fittipaldi won't finish in the points. They were 1st and 2nd in the points last year. Other considerations in that whole points battle, you're going to see a lot of names.
Paul Tracy won't finish in the points. He was 3rd.
Michael Andretti, who led this race and took the pole, only leads here with 2 points, 1 for leading the most laps and 1 for the pole, and that's it.
You know, with Vassar's car, it almost looked like maybe it didn't pick up the fuel for a moment there. He was hooked up and going real good, and all of a sudden it just quit. And then he gets back up to speed. Sometimes, and remember, this is the first race of the season again, the fuel tank sometimes suck a little bit of air, the lines do, through the fuel tank, and it caused them to quit momentarily.
Sprint to the finish now here in Miami. The first race on this circuit that uses part of Biscayne Boulevard past the Freedom Tower. The old customs house here. You can see it there just briefly in the shot of the skyline of Miami, and Brian Herta's into the barrier.
Into the tires pretty hard, and he's got some stuff bent up there, so he won't be doing very much more. I think he's going to be out of the race right there, Paul.
He wants him to back him out. But now, as we close with just 10 laps to the finish, the officials will have to make a decision of whether or not it's worthwhile to put anybody on the course and get him out. Dean Hall comes very slowly past that scene.
Notice that Rahal has closed up on Gugelmin. I missed my guess, of course. I thought Rahal would get by Gugelmin, but I think he's able to press him pretty hard.
And we go full course yellow. Boy, now it's going to be close.
Well, this is what everybody, it'll be close on the time, but this is what they all want because of their fuel. This is going to put everybody into a really good window for fuel. In other words, they ought to be able to go to the end.
And bring the whole front of the field right together. They were ready to go to the end anyway. So this is going to tighten up the order, and Jacques Villeneuve will lose a 2-second advantage that he maintained. We'll be back.
Some wholesale changes taking place here at Miami, the downtown street circuit, as we have only 10 laps remaining.
Less than 10 laps to go in the Miami Grand Prix, and let me tell you, anything could happen. Jacques Villeneuve is leading from Maurizio Gugelmin. 3rd is Bobby Rahal. 4th is Scott Pruitt. 5th, Robbie Gordon. 6th, Jimmy Vassar. And 7th, Christian Fittipaldi. And Brian Herta will not be reversing out of those tyres, I am sure of that. So we're going to be running under a full course yellow for some laps to come, and there are only about 8 of them left. So terrific motor racing. Villeneuve hanging on to the lead, and my goodness me, tremendous pit work by Barry Green's team put in there. when Maurizio Gugelmin looked as though he had the race sewn up. So the Pac West team are going to have to think hard about their tactics and their pit work if they're going to avoid losing out in the pit lane like that again. It was a very, very busy pit stop. There were a lot of cars in at one time, and Barry Green and Jacques Villeneuve really did pull one over Pac West there and left poor Maurizio Gugelmin down in second place. There's the pace car, Jacques Villeneuve cruising round behind it, Gugelmin behind him, then Rahal, Pruitt, Gordon and Vassar. And that mistake by Danny Sullivan, of course, dropped him down to 11th place. Brian Herter officially listed at the moment as 10th, although I don't think he's going to stay there. But my goodness me, what a weekend for Penske. Emerson Fittipaldi out of the race early on. And Al Unser not even in the points at the moment. Gilles de Ferran out early too, and Paul Tracy in a shunt in the first 5 laps, as we return now to Derek Daly and Paul Page.
Back live, Miami, Florida, IndyCars under a full course yellow. And just before this yellow came out, IndyCar race control and Chief Steward Wally Dallenbach said we're going to run the 90-lap distance. Now, we'll let you know if there is any change to that, because if the yellow would go another minute or so longer, it would put that 2-hour time limit in jeopardy. Brian Herta's car being removed from the barriers, looking for damage now that might prevent him from continuing on, and I see nothing obvious.
Paul, isn't that amazing? We expected to see the front end of that car wadded up a little bit. Look at the wings. They still look good also. Shows you how good those tire barriers work.
Coming up next on ABC Sports, there's regional coverage on Pizza Hut College basketball. Number 1, UCLA takes on Louisville. ACC rivals go head-to-head as Maryland battles Virginia. Big 8 power Kansas hosts Oklahoma State, or Florida meets Vanderbilt.
We are headed for a very, very close finish.
I just can't believe that you get into the tires that much and come out with a car looking that clean.
Jacques Villeneuve had offers to go into Formula One this year. He decided to stick with IndyCars, get more experience. As I said, he's only 23 years old. He won one race last year toward the end of the season in his rookie year. He is a prodigy, and it's interesting to see whether he'll be able to hang on and win the opening race this year. You see him
there's the leader. Second place, third place, fourth Scott Pruitt, Robbie Gordon. As Jim Swintoll, the starter, has the green flag in his hand. Race control has said it will be a 90-lap race. Forget any time.
Look at how many drivers are out of the race.
Look at some of the names. Andretti, Johansson, Fittipaldi, Tracy. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, this long yellow has enabled Bobby Rahal to cool his tires. He was reporting to his crew that he couldn't pass because he had a severe push going into several of the turns. He radioed back in, though. He's happy that it is going the 90-lap distance. When they drop the green, look for him to try one more time to take a stab at second-place Gugelmin. We'll have to wait and see if he's got it.
Villeneuve stabs the throttle. Green flag comes out. Again, he is able to get a bit of advantage, though not as much as he did last time on the restart on Gugelmin. Rahal and Gugelmin stay right there, glued to the back end with 8 laps to go.
And Jack, of course, I think we won't see any stupid moves from Bobby Rahal. 3-time champion, knows how to put these championships together, often a second or a third, particularly if you think you're racing men who may not be as much of a threat over the whole year as others.
We stay with you right to the checkered flag now. Action to the end of this race, 83 laps gone. A wily veteran in third place there, the professorial Bobby Rahal, back with Mercedes power. Carries him in third place. Can he get it to the front?
Normally speaking, they're going to have to do the passing now pretty quick while their tires are cold.
Robbie Gordon's car, and all the way over and through the barriers.
This is a big one, obviously.
Now, he's moving. I assume he's okay. Be careful with that assumption.
Whoa. He crashed a car earlier over the weekend.
Wedged right in.
This was his backup car.
I may have said over the barrier. And
into the barrier and under the tires there.
IndyCar safety team in there.
I think it's going to be pretty good. I don't think it's going to be as bad as it looked in the beginning, Paul, because those tires have just done miracles so far. Look at all the safety guys working over him. He's moving his head. Tires might have beat him up pretty good, but I'll bet he's all right.
Race is continuing under green. This is being covered by a local yellow. Robbie Gordon out of the car to the applause of the fans here.
Always good to see that. But he was strapped with the tires. They had him tied inside the car.
Boy, what a race he's driven, too. The sticking throttle through the entire day. Maybe that's what put him off here. Here's the replay of the situation.
Here's a driver.
Watch him down a straightaway here. Going fast. Loose. You can see the rear end jumping around his car. Whoa! Now, that one I can't answer. Why it jumped out did not show on the cameras. And by golly, I couldn't figure that one out.
Boy, Bobby veered to the left there.
He didn't seem to correct the steering to indicate that he knew something was wrong either, Sam.
Again, yellow only in that area of the race course. We're racing the rest of the way around. Here's the incident again involving Robbie Gordon.
He got loose there. The rear end came around. You can see that. Looks like he's okay here. Just a slight turn to the right. No big deal. And look at the car. Just goes straight. He locked up the tires just at the last minute. But we still didn't see any indication what went wrong unless, like, for example, a tire went down really quick on it.
You're quicker than I didn't even notice the lockup. I'll tell you what, though. Take a look at that car, that condition, that situation, and stop and think how safe they are. I mean, they're so well built.
Oh, think how hard that is on his heart, though, to just to go directly at that kind of speed into the tires. It's really, you just don't know how hard you're going to hit.
A little over 4 laps to go. Jacques Villeneuve looking for his second IndyCar victory, but the decision not yet made. Ray Hall, Pruitt, Gugelmin, Christian Fittipaldi, they all want to have something to say about it, and they are in a position to do so.
Look
the
how
track is also getting very slick.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. Look how the cars are twitching and jumping around. The tires are kind of wearing out. The track is really slippery at the end of the race. It's what we always expect, the hardest time of the day to pass right now.
And Ray Hall there in the black and yellow car coming under pressure now from Pruitt in the red car with Firestone. So a Goodyear car there being pursued hot and heavy by a Firestone car.
Villeneuve is 1.1 seconds ahead. An eternity on a race course of this style in these closing laps.
And able to pull away now for the second or third time.
Well, the yellow, of course, helped him by pulling all the back markers into the back of the field, so he knows it's clear sailing to the checkered.
Exactly.
Pruitt and Ray Hall.
Ray Hall holding down third. What a terrific thing. We're Pruitt to pass him and get a podium finish for Firestone on their first try back into IndyCar racing. That could happen.
I don't remember, Sam and Paul, ever seeing Pruitt, or at least my memory doesn't serve, that he's ever driven such a good, consistent, and hard race. New team, Firestone tires, the driver that's basically been off for a year just testing. I think he's really done good.
I don't think Scott Pruitt has ever in the IndyCar has been given the opportunity deserved. I think you're going to see a lot out of it.
I was going to say such a great IndyCar race, Bobby, because in fact, of course, he's the current Trans Am champion, and he's a master of that kind of car, and we've also seen him do brilliant things in IROC cars. I think he's just never had the fair opportunity in Indy cars.
I think you're right, Sam.
Ray Hall, you see the serial scoring up through the race, started 11th, now runs third.
It's hard to make a pass here. I mean, we've seen passes.
It's all waiting for somebody to make a mistake. That's really what it's all about. Like Pruitt would like to push Ray Hall hard enough to make him make a mistake. And that's exactly what Ray Hall's trying to do, the man right in front of him there.
3 laps to go. We'll go the distance here.
Ray Hall, 3 times national champion, battling men who don't have anything like his credentials.
Fuel should not be a problem for any of these cars. They should all have enough.
There's the leader. There's the interval. Ray Hall on Goodyear, Pruitt on Firestone. I remember when you and your brother raced, Bobby, for one for Goodyear, one for Firestone, and you cut one of the tire jackets in half and made a good stone a fire year.
Yeah. That's right. That's what my parents used to wear.
Villeneuve, of course, the youngest driver in the race.
First time carrying 27.
The coming in of Firestone to this race is certainly going to make IndyCar racing better.
At number 27, of course, his father made so very famous. Boy, I'll tell you what, that's not much of an interval at all. I know he's commanding it right now, but all it would take is just a little twitch.
Just a little slip. In other words, he wouldn't even have to do very much. He'd get past right now. So he's being very careful. And that's one of the reasons why he isn't pulling away very much at all, is because he's being very careful. You know, winning is really the only important thing.
I think this race is going to be remembered for the terrific return to racing by Firestone, by the terrific performance of Jacques Villeneuve, and never forget that Pac West, in the form of Mauricio Gugelmin in second place, has suddenly entered the ranks of the top team. So a lot of new things have happened in this race that are significant and are going to give shape to the way the season develops.
So working the final lap now. Jacques Villeneuve may in fact have his second IndyCar race wrapped up. Second place may still be in doubt as Gugelmin is still being attacked by Bobby Rahal. There's Pruitt running under in fourth place. Christian Fittipaldi is going to come home with a fifth if he stays where he is. Boycell is sixth, Danner is seventh, Vassar is eighth, ninth is Danny Sullivan, and Brian Herta is 10th right now. None of those positions in contest as we watch the leader.
At that early age, it could be his second IndyCar win.
Boy, is this a future champion of IndyCar? Look how smooth. He knows there's a checkered flag waiting for him, and there it is. The first race of the IndyCar season is done. They celebrate. In Jacques Villeneuve's pits, he has taken his second IndyCar victory. Gugelmin comes across the line in second, followed by Rahal, followed by Scott Pruitt, then Christian Fittipaldi in fifth. In sixth place, Raoul Boycell, then Christian Danner up to seventh, Jimmy Vassar in eighth. Ninth, Danny Sullivan. Brian Herta finished in 10th. Allinger Jr. could only manage a 15th place out of the points. But congratulations to the winner here. As Toyota presents the Grand Prix of Miami, they'll be presenting Jacques Villeneuve with a rather large check as the winner here today. We'll be back to talk with him. Right after this, you're going to see a very happy young man, winner of the first race of this IndyCar season.
Eurosport Live.
We didn't know, we weren't sure how the car would feel in the race, but it felt great.
A lot of people were a little bit concerned when the announcement came that Forsyth Green was going to split up, but it doesn't seem as if your part of the operation has missed a beat.
Well, you know, all the key elements stayed in place. There's only a few guys that went away, so the chemistry was still there, the important guys were still there, and it's still a great team.
When you come to victory lane like this, do thoughts go back to your father?
Actually, no, not yet, not really, because I was thinking about all the guys and Players Limited, who's behind me, who's trusting me, and everybody works hard, and it's great that we can finish a weekend on a high note like that.
Well, it's great to see you in victory lane and number 27 as well. Let's check in with Paul Page.
It certainly is great to see the French-Canadian Jacques Villeneuve back in victory lane.
The second place finish
From
by
8th on the grid to his first victory of the season and his second IndyCar victory in all. Second, Maurizio Gugelmin in another Reynard Ford, so Reynard Ford's first and second. Villeneuve driving for Barry Green's Team Green, of course, and Maurizio Gugelmin in the first of the Pac West Reynards, coming from second on the grid. Third, Bobby Rahal. Looks like we got Bobby with us now.
Lo and behold, a third place finish for Rahal Hogan Racing. Bobby, congratulations.
Thanks, Jack. Miller car ran super all day. You know, it was a little slippery out there with all those restarts. You collect so much rubber on the tires, it's a real handful, but had an awesome pit stop and got ahead of a couple guys, and that's all I needed. It's tough to pass here, so my crew got me to third, no question.
Paul?
So Bobby Ray.
So, tremendous pit work by Rahal Hogan as well, and let's not forget that pit work by Barry Green's team, which really, it has to be said, got Jacques Villeneuve into the lead, but he held on absolutely beautifully while the track got extremely slippery towards the end, a lot of oil and rubber down. Many other more experienced people sliding off, losing it under braking, getting up on the curbs, but Villeneuve held on, a superb win. So top three, Villeneuve, Gugelmin and Rahal. Fourth, a great drive this, I think, Scott Pruitt. on the Firestone tyres, 20 years and more since Firestone came into IndyCar to give Goodyear something of a fight, and I reckon that Scott Pruitt in the Patrick Lola could be somebody to watch this year. He's the current Trans Am champion. 5th place.
Mauricio Gugelmin comes up in
here's
the runner-up
Maurizio.
position. Another brand new team. Great finish for Pac West. Your thoughts about this second place podium finish?
I mean, basically it was good for the first race for the team. It's a new team that's going to show the way it's done this year. We did a great winter testing, and Bruce Macau has put a very good team together. I'm a bit disappointed I didn't get first. I think we were a bit slow on the pit stop, but will give me motivation to win next time round.
Well, what about for a driver that enters his second year of IndyCar competition to come out of the box with a new team and finish second? That's got to do wonders for your psyche.
That's very good. I always believe on my team. Since the first day we went testing, has showed potential, and I think we're going places this year.
Could be a big day for Brazil here today. Usually it's all about Fittipaldi, but they say Miami has a lot of Brazilians you could be celebrating tonight.
Oh, that's for sure. I mean, Emerson is a great guy. He's the reason why we're all here, and I think now we should be taking over from him. He should rest a little bit. He's getting old.
Oh boy, did you hear that one, Paul?
Hey, yeah, well, that's Maurizio Gugelmin for you. Nice guy. Good to see the nice guys up at the front. Just to continue through the results, Christian Fittipaldi, yet another Brazilian, as we all know, in a Reynard Ford for the Walker team was 5th. And Raul Boesel in a Lola Mercedes, first of the Mercedes engine, rounding out the top 6. That's Raul Boesel. 7th was young Jimmy Vasser in another Reynard Ford, and 8th Christian Danner after a good solid drive through the field. I think that's the best you can say really for Christian Danner's first outing this year, but he started way down the grid. He was about 20th on the grid, and at the end Christian bringing the Reynard Ford into 8th position. But really, I think the story of the day is what did not happen. We did not see anything really from Penske or Newman-Haas. Paul Tracy went out very early on in the kind of accident that, well, it's difficult to say without being there. To be fair to Paul Tracy, very difficult to tell from the TV screen, but it looked like the kind of accident that we've seen before from Paul Tracy, just a little bit hot-headed. Emerson Fittipaldi out very early on in the Penske Mercedes. We think that was gearbox trouble. Michael Andretti brushed the wall early on. Michael says he got a nudge from Christian Fittipaldi. I didn't see it, but Michael would know a lot more about that. Anyway, he brushed the wall, and that was the end of his front suspension after leading for many laps. It looked like it was going to be a good day for Newman-Haas. Al Unser Jr., little Al, well, really, he will not be a happy man tonight. No points at all for the reigning IndyCar champion, Al Unser Jr. Brian Herter went out in an accident. Somebody that many of us thought might do well today, one of the up-and-coming young drivers. And there's the top six confirmed up on the screen. Villeneuve, Gugelmin, and Rahal 3rd. Danner 7th, Jimmy Vasser came in 8th. Danny Sullivan, after that spin coming out of that right-hander, pushed all the way back down to 9th. But continuing with those people who did not perform today, Robbie Gordon got himself up into the top 6, but had a very odd-looking accident. Difficult to see exactly what happened there with Robbie Gordon. He had a bit of opposite lock-on, appeared to get the car straight, back on the throttle, and then suddenly into the wall on the left-hand side. Maybe he got a rear wheel up on the grass there. It was very hard to see from that angle. The Honda engine car of Andre Ribeiro, there is Robbie Gordon's car. Fairly badly damaged at the front, I would imagine, although no harm at all to Robbie himself. Don't you just love the way those American racing drivers get out and shrug to the crowd as if to say, you tell me what happened, and then climb into the rescue truck as if nothing had happened at all. Anyway, another bad day for Robbie Gordon, and that accident came just after, I think it was Unser Sr. was saying that Robbie settled down a lot more than over the winter and was looking like a smoother driver. It just shows you how careful you have to be when opening your mouth during a motor race. So that's it from the first round of the IndyCar Series from my downtown Miami on the street circuit, and we go to another street circuit in 2 weeks' time. So join us here live on Eurosport for the Surfers Paradise race from Australia. And of course, Ben and Watty will be with us in 3 weeks' time on Eurosport with the first Grand Prix of the year from Brazil. So it's all happening live on Eurosport. And there you are, 5 o'clock in the morning. So that'll, if you're a real enthusiast, you will be up, no doubt, at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch the IndyCars from Surfers. Remember, Michael Andretti won that last year, a maiden win for Reynard. And I must say, they're looking good, aren't they, at the moment, the Reynards? But you can never, ever underestimate Penske. Anything could happen. We'll see you for Surfers in 2 weeks' time. Bye-bye.
IndyCar was brought to you on Eurosport by Firestone and Valvoline.